Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we got an interesting show or live stream with a Miss Jessica Sheila, who is a friend of mine. She is from Nova Scotia, Canada, I believe it is, or Nova Scotia or Nova Scotia. We're going to talk about online dating and changing your environment. Please let me know if the sound's okay, because we're going to be using one mic, a shared mic. So if you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like this video, that's just fine. If you want to subscribe, hit the red button and hit the bell if you want to get updated every live stream. Please put in the comments if you have any questions or comments about online dating or changing your environment. And please visit my Instagram at Coach Mac McCarthy. It will be reviewed. Thanks, David, for the heads up. I appreciate it, bud. So the way we're going to do this today, Jessica is actually not going to be on the camera. It's not because she's shy. It's not because she's scared of the camera. It's just because I don't have a professional setup, full disclosure. So I think it's much better to just talk and not try to put two heads in a webcam of my MacBook and try to kind of like fit in there and stuff like that. So down the road, if this goes good, maybe we'll do another one that's a little bit more camera friendly. But just to start out, to give you an introduction to Miss Jessica Sheila from Nova Scotia, Canada. She's a photographer, a poet, an artist, a teacher, a jeweler, a world traveler, an educated drifter, and an overall good human, which is why she's a good friend of mine. And she's had some breakups, so we'll talk about that also. She's open to talk about that. She will also put in the show notes. She has a website where she has some paintings and she does some photography and whatnot. She does a little bit of everything, kind of a Swiss Army knife artist, if you will. So she, like I said, she paints extremely eccentric and bold is the description I would go with. She's, like I said, she's a teacher. She's very popular with the students in an easygoing way. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And she's got a small line of beaded jewelry that's very exclusive, individually numbered pieces. Is that correct?
They are one of a kind.
One of a kind, right. Handmade, actually really handmade. We always go like, oh, this is handmade, and it'll be labeled. I've seen her make the jewelry. It's handmade. And the brand is Chili Drift. So we'll also put that in the notes. She's lived in multiple countries and speaks multiple languages. That's actually true. So some people say that just to sound fucking interesting. This is actually true of her. You've lived in Mexico? Mm-hmm. So where have you lived?
Mexico, Canada, France, and Thailand.
Well, Canada doesn't count because you were born there, right?
Well, yeah, but
you lived in multiple places in Canada.
Yes, I've lived in multiple places.
So what are the places you lived in Canada?
Toronto, Halifax. Mostly.
Are you from Halifax or Nova Scotia?
Well, Halifax is the capital of Nova Scotia.
David, can you hear her all right? Can you just give me a heads up that you can hear the microphone with her when she's talking? I know you said you could hear me just fine. 3 on deck today.
Right on.
Yeah, 3 on deck, 2 likes. Give me a heads up that you can hear Jessica okay, because it's like I said, this is new for me using this mic and using it on both sides. So I'm not getting anything back. Earth to the world. What's up, Johnny? We got a special show today. We got a female's perspective today. I know Johnny will like that. Jessica, how old are you?
31.
31? When's your birthday?
October.
October what?
19th.
October 19th.
Why? What's that all about?
What's your sign then?
Well, I'm a Libra, but my rising sign is a Leo.
She's missed the best part of Canada, Dark Knight says, because she hasn't lived in Montreal.
I've visited Montreal many times.
Oh, wow. Immediately defensive. Immediately defensive right there.
Actually, that's one thing that I do feel slightly regretful about, is not living in Montreal.
Does everyone hear Jessica okay? Just to get a sound check. Can you hear her when she's talking? Because I got one mic in between us. I just want to confirm that you guys can hear her while she's talking. Dark Knights, LOL. Got a friend on the line. Good looks. Okay, so Yes, thank you, David, for actually answering my question. I can hear very clearly. I just want to make sure you can hear her when I'm talking to her. So yeah, so just to finish up, so she's lived in multiple countries, speaks multiple languages, university educated. At what was the university you were at?
Dalhousie University.
Dalhousie University.
Dalhousie.
Is that a private school?
It's a university.
Is it a public university?
It's a public university.
It's a public university. Okay.
In Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax, Nova
Scotia.
Nova Scotia. It's a bit cold over there, eh?
Chilly, eh?
Yeah. And you basically, she said she grew up eating lobster daily.
Not daily.
Actually, she said like they ate so much lobster they would give it to the dog's bowl.
Never. I never said that. But I did grow up eating, yes, lobster, scallops, and
isn't that amazing? Scallops,
seafood.
But I mean lobster, red lobster.
Red lobster.
Jesus, man.
Red lobsters.
Rob, you missed the introduction. She is from Halifax. You're correct. Okay, so let's just get into the topic today and online dating, which is interesting. So we got a female's perspective. Jessica actually has experience in multiple countries in online dating. So I think that's an interesting perspective.
That's right.
She's 31 years old. Some would find her highly attractive. Right. And what is your broad take dealing with or going into online dating?
I can see how it works for people, and that, you know, people who might have a hard time approaching others, or maybe they're shy, and in this way they feel they can really reach out to who they see that they like initially. But for me, I found it hasn't been something that's been very successful. I have met a few people on there where it led to something else, whereas like the person that I met on there was kind of just like, you know, they took me to another place, and our relationship only lasted a short time, but then I ended up meeting other people and having new experiences through that person. Whereas like they were kind of just this small ship that, you know, I jumped on with them for a little while, and then they kind of went their way and introduced me to some of their friends, and then I ended up going that way with those. So
what you're saying is like it wasn't necessarily successful in the sense of finding a long-term partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a boyfriend.
Yeah, I've never found a long-term partner.
But you got your needs satisfied in some ways.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess so. Temporarily.
And in some ways, would you say that it was a bad experience or a good experience?
There have been good and bad.
All right, let's unpack them. So let's start with let's start with the good experiences, right? So let's start out with what dating apps have you used?
Well, I've only ever used Tinder. And
you haven't used anything else?
And then I most recently signed up with Hinge. But I have only signed up with Hinge last week.
And what's the early reviews on Hinge?
So I haven't done anything on Hinge. I've scrolled through like 5 profiles, and then I got bored and I didn't go back.
Okay. So
I find myself bored. It depends. Like you really have to be in the right mood, you know, to want to look through, or like you've got nothing else to do. So you're like, oh, I guess I'll take a look. You just look through some profiles, and then if nothing's interesting you, and you're kind of you've already been through the trenches of this online dating, you know, world, then I find I get bored quick.
Bored of what specifically?
Bored of scrolling and looking through profiles, and if there's nothing that's interesting you, you're like, okay, well.
So this is a good question. You're on Tinder, you're scrolling through profiles.
I don't have Tinder anymore. I deleted it.
Okay. Just to clarify, she doesn't have Tinder anymore.
But yes. So
she's officially not desperate anymore.
But I did feel desperate again last week and got on Hinge.
Okay.
Because I wanted to step up my game, because people have said.
Do you feel like it is a desperate move to use dating apps? I'm just curious.
I don't think it's. I mean, it depends what your purposes are, but I don't think it's desperate. I think it's just maybe there's some loneliness. You feel like you want to connect with someone. You want to be like with someone.
I don't feel like it's desperate at all. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't think it's desperate.
But if you jump on there, it's like, okay, I'm gonna stop playing around here. It's like,
Yeah.
do you just find it now in the, in 2020, in the 21st century, that it's just difficult to meet people in 7-Eleven
I think
on the streets,
in
like to meet common people?
Here in Thailand, in Phuket, I think it is harder to meet people. But when I was in Toronto, when I was in Paris, it wasn't hard to meet people at all. When you were out and about, you could meet people online, on these dating apps, you could meet people. It was easy, but here it's not the same. The social life isn't the same. And a lot of people here are already in couples, or they're already married. I mean, like, that's the age bracket that I'm kind of facing,
Where in Toronto were you? I have a question.
The West End.
West End? What does that mean?
The West End.
Is that the good area?
No, the East Side is just as good as
West
the West.
Side.
Shaw Street. Do you know Shaw Street?
Shaw Street.
Basically, Bloor and Shaw was where I was at.
Bloor and Shaw. Bloor and Shaw, Rob. That's the area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dark Knight says, too many ugly people and liars on Tinder. Would you agree?
I feel like that is partially true. It's kind of a harsh judgment, but I mean,
I think one of the things that I would say, and I don't have a lot of experience with dating apps at all, right? But I would be suspect of someone using Photoshop or looking too good, especially women that. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many photo apps or so many ways to make your photos look better without a blemish that you're kind of suspect of someone that like overdid it. And then if you have someone that's overly sexy, you might think hoe or slut, which might appeal to some guy. I mean, it's just like just going on the picture. What do you think? So
that's definitely true. The photos can go either way. People can do too much to their pictures, and people can take really horrible pictures that don't. Actually, when I was in Toronto, I was doing portrait photo shoots for people's social medias like Tinder, dating apps.
Because so people would hire you for Tinder shots.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
So these people, and they were mostly guys. There was a few girls,
shirts on or shirts off.
So I would tell them to bring a few outfits.
Oh God, it was a photo op for Tinder. Has anyone else ever done this? Please let me know in the comments.
Half day or full day.
A half day photo shoot for Tinder.
Yeah.
That's going all in on dating apps.
Yeah, for sure. These people are, they're in their mid to late 30s. They're lonely. They want a partner. They want someone. So they're like, and their pictures they suck. Like, you go through these profiles and you're like, this is just a horrible picture. This isn't drawing me in at all. So I would just take candid shots of them. Like I would tell them to pick like 3 locations that really suits their personality, or where like, I know we can get good light and a good shot. Normally a park, normally a cafe, normally a bar like this, or I didn't go to their house.
Did you ever wear like police or fireman costumes or anything?
No, but I wish there was somebody kinky like that came out. No, I didn't have anyone that adventurous. They were all pretty.
What would you charge for that? That's interesting.
It varied. Like half day, I forget. I can't remember now. It was like 250 Canadian, I think. For
but I do have one friend that did this for Instagram. I didn't know people did it for Tinder. I'm not surprised. I'm sure it helps.
Yeah, some people would use it for any of them. They would use it for whatever they wanted to, like be dating or Instagram or Facebook or
if you like, because it seems like you've had some good experiences and bad experiences, but if you had to design a dating app, what would be a couple of things that you would say?
I don't know.
Number one, you can't use a photographer. No, just saying.
No, I mean, I think like the apps that are out there they've already kind of filled those shoes. I don't know. It's like I said, I'm not that keen on the dating apps. It's not really something that I enjoy to go on. Like I prefer to meet someone in person.
Because it's a lot of work.
You invest a lot of time, yes. So it's a lot of work. You chat with someone, and then all it takes is like a matter of one comment and something that they say, and you're like, oh, okay, we're really like. It's just really hard to gauge someone. You can't really I don't know. I much more prefer that in person, having met someone somewhere, already knowing like what the energy is between you when you're with them, rather than make okay, well, I think this person's cute, or you're like, I'm not sure, are they cute or are they not, but I like the conversation. And it's like there's just too many ifs and whats and buts, and then you go out and you meet them and you're like, oh fuck, this just no.
Immediately, sometimes you meet them and you're
immediately.
What is it? Because I don't think I've ever.
That's happened.
I don't think I've ever been.
It can be the sound of their voice. You know, people are drawn to these things.
Yeah, it's true, huh? Voice does.
I'm drawn to voice sounds for sure. The way that you speak, you know, in typing, you really lose all of that.
So this could be one dating app that you could design. It's like, give me a voice sample.
Well,
but then people could doctor those.
On Hinge, you can do that. You can video call in.
Someone could go,
I just saw that.
Hey, I'm Mac. Nice to meet you. It's like they could doctor their voice too, right?
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just a little bit jaded from the dating apps. That's why I don't.
Okay, so you're 31, right?
Yeah.
You're an attractive woman.
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's confident, right? She didn't go, oh no, I'm not. That's confidence. I appreciate that. So you're an attractive woman. You've been told many times. You post your picture. You post your picture on Tinder because you've taken breaks from Tinder, right?
Many.
You've told me this. Many. Wow, yeah. It's almost like an addiction.
I come and go. No, right? It's because I get bored. If I'm like, you know,
I'm bored. You guys heard that, right? You heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Little cat pawing.
Oh. When you're single.
Oh, I'm just bored.
And you know, you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I'm just bored, so I'll go on Tinder and cat paw the hell out of a few men. Just for shits and giggles.
You just never know what's going to happen.
So this is interesting.
You just need to lay your intentions out.
Okay, so
what do you want?
So you go on. I just want this perspective from an attractive 31-year-old woman. You go on there, and the first 48 hours, you post a few, and you're a photographer, so your photos are probably really good, right? So you know how to.
My pictures are okay. I'm not a huge
seductive.
No, my pictures aren't. Actually, I don't have that many pictures. That's what's kind of frustrating.
Okay, so the first 48 hours. How many people hit you? How many guys hit you up with like?
Well, you have to like them in order to see if they.
Okay,
like you.
so within the 48 hours, just a 2-day window, you go live.
Mm-hmm.
You're bored, and so you're ready, right? We'll just say you're ready to entertain the idea of multiple men going on dates with you.
No, this is never the case. Okay, I'm always looking. I'm only looking for one, and then I find when I get on there and I start liking people, and then they like me back, I lose my. Then I find that I'm like, oh well, am I really so keen to continue this?
Okay, so
it's like.
About how many do you find a match for in the first 2 or 3 days? Because I've heard from other women that they say that like they literally have like 100 within 2 or 3 days.
Well, you have to like 100 to get 100.
But I mean, you have 100 guys like you within that time, right?
Sure, but you can't see that.
Like
unless you upgrade to.
I just don't think the average would you say it's true for men too, that like the average 30-year-old guy would go on there? Or do you think that women probably get more guys that just go, I like, than women that pick. Women are more picky.
Women are more picky.
Okay, where a guy would go
like, and just
she looks like an opportunity, kind of a thing. So
yeah, sorry.
So you get 100 or so of those, and so you have to go through all the ones that like you, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. So if I was the one who was clicking like without even looking at their profile, just like swiping like. And then I would be able to see if the guys are doing the same. And then I would see if I get 100 likes or not.
Do you generally end up with, this is kind of a really interesting question. Do you generally end up with the guy that you liked first? You never thought of that, huh?
I'm trying to think like, I don't know. It's normally, I don't know, if we both like each other and we both continue the conversation, then we're probably going to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And that normally for me, I normally only am speaking to one person at a time. Like I can't.
But do you feel like you like the person first?
Yes.
See, that's
you have to like the person first.
No, but I'm saying like, don't they like you and then you have to like them after?
Well, it goes both ways.
So I'm saying when you end up going out with a guy, is it more often that you liked him first?
Oh, I don't
See what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I've never paid attention to that because that would be like I like them, and then later you going back into the app and you can see that they've liked you also.
So
I don't know.
What's your best experience on Tinder?
This is out there. This is far out there. I feel like my best experience that I've had on Tinder was when I lived in Paris, and it wasn't with a man, it was with a woman.
Oh, you met her on Tinder?
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't had any great experiences in Phuket.
So when you go on Tinder, you
can choose like if you want to.
So would that be considered
only women?
Would that be considered bi or pan?
Well, I think the proper term would be pan now. Ask the Canadians; they'll be able to tell us.
Pansexual. Is anyone familiar with this term, pansexual? Is this so? So you met this woman on Tinder.
I met her on Tinder
while you were more or less fishing for men, or you're always fishing for both?
I was just looking for both. I was just looking for yeah. So anyway, we had a really great time, and
what was different about meeting a man than meeting a woman like that? I'm curious. Was there something different that wasn't like? Were you more open? Were you this, or was it I
mean, I think I treat it the same way. It's like we go out, we talk about each other's lives. Either you jive or you don't, and then like it's not anything different. They're just another human.
Okay. I don't know. I'm interested. All right, we have a few questions.
For me, or in general.
So let's see here. One guy says, the few times I tried Tinder, I always asked for FaceTime video call before meeting in person. Didn't want a heart attack.
Is that pre-COVID or during COVID?
I think it would be pre. I think he's meaning like he doesn't want to be shocked by someone not looking like their picture. I'm not sure.
I mean, I guess that's wise. I feel like that's a 21st century.
Have you ever seen someone on Tinder with stock photos?
No. Oh no. Yes. And then
that would be so lame.
Yes, and then you're like, oh, this person isn't real.
Like you can't be real, right?
I think it's like a bot or something, or some sort of spam, or it's like a creep that's I don't know, that thinks that.
Do you feel like it's cheating as far as getting to know someone? I think this is in regards to having fancy pictures or a photographer take pictures.
What would be cheating?
I don't know. What do you mean by that, Derek D? He says, do you feel like it's cheating as far as getting to know someone?
Like, are you already in a relationship and then you're just openly talking?
Let me see if you'll clarify that. Meeting in person is much, much better. You can meet a lot of people in person in Toronto. There are so many options there, which she said, yeah, is true. So that's going to lead up to my next topic, which is I think post-breakup is an opportunity to change your environments and shouldn't be underrated. I think that I know people can't do that for a variety of reasons, their job, their kids, but if you can, or like I've talked about before, like even though you live in a city or a suburb, you can move to a different part of town or something like that has a different vibe. So we'll get into that in a moment, but let me check on these. Now, is she still willing to meet people she met on these apps despite COVID, or is she sticking to online chat until this thing blows over? This is someone, David, who mentioned this. David lives in New York. So New York, I think, I'm not there, David, but I know it's more intense than where we're at in Phuket. Yeah. We're definitely not scared here as much. I don't think we've had any new cases in Phuket for a long time.
For like, I think it's almost 2 months.
Yeah, so we are supposed to be wearing the mask and whatnot regularly, which we do in public places. But I think that the fear is lower than places like New York. So you would say that COVID's not affecting meeting someone at all, right? I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. The interesting thing about that, David, is talking to some other people. You could be all in. You could be like, oh, yeah, sure, hon. Like, no problem. Let's meet up. And she'd be like paranoid or vice versa. And it creates an immediate rift because one person's taking it 110% serious and they might work at a hospital or something like that. And the other person's like, oh, well, why not? And then it's And
we're not on the same page.
Yeah, on an important thing,
Yeah.
right? And then it becomes almost like a political thing. It's like, oh, you don't care about this and all this shit. So it is a monkey wrench in dating right now. Maybe she likes English accents. Do you like English accents? Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, I find them. I like
she blushed immediately, Scott W. So you can't see her on camera, but right when I said that, she was like, I think I know from living in California, anyone that would have an English accent that would be living there or visiting would instantly demand a little extra attention just because of the accent, to be quite honest. I had a neighbor that was Irish, which I'm not saying is the same as an English accent. And this guy was actually, he was a fucking drug addict. He was on Oxycontin, which is a bad drug, right?
Yeah.
And this is like when I lived in San Diego. So this is this is when you feel older, when you're like 17 years ago. It's like 18 years ago when I was 21. You started to think in your head, you're like, fuck, am I that old? Like, is it that long ago?
Shit, is it really that long ago?
Yeah. I'm like, 17, 18 years ago when there was no internet. No, it's like, I would invite him out because he was a neighbor. He was a cool dude and everything. And I'd have some friends and stuff. And just his accent being at like a college San Diego party, he was like in his late 20s. It was like bringing a leprechaun. I mean, he was like, people would be like, oh man, you're really from Ireland. He's like, yeah, mine. All right. And he just ate it up. He just ate it up. He was an absolute celebrity just because of the accent. It's kind of funny. Picky in terms of what? Did you say that you're a little bit picky on these apps? Are you picky at all? You consider yourself picky? So you're looking for a specific man or woman. What would
I think we are? I think all of us can be, if you're attracted to a certain, I don't know, I guess I want to say a type, some people have types, right?
Do you feel like that you've identified, like being 31 years old and being?
I definitely have a type. Yeah. I'm drawn to certain, like, if it's, physical features or characteristics, like, yeah, I mean, when you're looking on the app, that's the first thing that you see is a photo. So you're looking at what you're drawn to physically, because that's the only thing you can go on, really. Yeah, like blonde hair, blue eyes I'm normally not gonna be drawn to that.
Really?
Right? Yeah, like I'm definitely not.
So you discriminate on blonde hair?
I discriminate. I'm a discriminator.
Jeez. So what would be something that you would be like, ooh, dark brown eyes or what?
Yeah, I'm normally drawn to like darker skin, darker features.
Why do you think that is? Where does that come from?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe because that also kind of resembles myself. So
you feel like you have dark skin?
I mean, I have dark features. I have dark hair, dark
brown eyes.
But it's like one of my friends pointed out to me once. She's like, if you take a close look at a lot of people who are already in relationships and look at them, you'll find that they actually have a lot of similar features. Like they look a lot of like. And she was like, listen, she's a nurse. She was like, you've got to do this. So then we started looking at pictures of people. And basically I couldn't believe it. Like so many people they had so many similar features to their couples. And I think it's because we look for ourselves in the other person.
That's an interesting take. I could see that. I mean, and the funny part, the devil's advocate to that would be like, you do see some odd couples and you're like, whoa. And it's like they're I mean, they're not an odd couple. It's just an odd couple to you, right? Like you do once in a while see someone that's like 6'3" with like a woman that's like 5'1", and the guy's really, and you're just like, whoa. Or the classic someone from a different race sometimes catches people off guard, right? So I guess you could say that. Actually, I've read somewhere before that they say you've heard before that symmetry is beautiful, right? That's a sign of, if your eyes are equal and all that other stuff, which yours are pretty equal. I have actually like a slightly lazy eye, right? So like one of my eyes closes a little bit more. So I lack symmetry, right? So
you mentioned that
I'm not symmetrical, and one of my teeth are lower than the other. A friend of mine that's very into fashion has mentioned that to me more than once.
Wow, what did
it's
she
not
say?
Symmetrical.
Oh, so she was like,
it was a man.
Oh, he just had to point out the fact.
Yeah, he's like, you could shave that tooth down. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, so you can make them equal. So, But one of the things they said about attraction, which I found interesting, was that you think that you'd be that people look for more common features than eccentric features, in the sense that, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like if your nose is too big or your ears are too, like, things that are too big or too outlandish are not attractive because they're not familiar. If that makes sense. So maybe that's related to the fact that people, but it would be interesting to see the amount of people that get married that have similar values or habits. Cause I think that that's where a lot of people break up. Right. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts on The Wall? I don't know what that is. Is that something in Toronto? Is that a dating app? I'm not sure what that is, Rob. What's up, Jen? How are you? Yes, I know pansexual, says Rob. I thought pansexual is someone who's attracted to someone's personality.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was that you.
Basically, from what I've heard from other people defining it, it means that you're not necessarily gay or bisexual. It means that individual humans are judged on an individual basis, and you don't classify or identify yourself as gay, heterosexual, or bisexual. Is that true?
So here it's saying not limited in sexual choice in regard to biological sex, gender, and gender identity.
So it's just basically saying I don't want to label myself one thing, and I'm open to meeting a new human. Okay.
Humans are humans.
Dark Knight says, I lived in Paris. Where in Paris were you?
In the 4th arrondissement.
In
Le Marais.
Marais.
Le Marais.
Sorry, Coach. You know my opinion on online dating. She hates online dating, Jen. Yes, I matched with someone like that before. It works well in Texas. Scott's got the English accent in Texas. Put her on camera, Mac. Nope, we're not going to do that today, but we will in the future. 30 years ago when I was 21. Good for you, Jen. Now, he said he was 16th arrondissement.
Right, 16th. Okay, that's very nice. It's a nice neighborhood.
Brandon Wallace, depends on the apps. What apps do you like, Brandon Wallace? Now, what sticks out to her on these profiles on these apps? That's a fair question.
What sticks out?
That's it. It's not a trick question, Jessica. She's like, what sticks out?
What are you suggesting?
What catches your eye on the things for you?
I like to see just like a guy who doesn't look like he's trying too hard, somebody that represents themselves. I hate when guys place their money first, where it's like, oh, look at like sometimes guys will post pictures like with their cars or
it's fucking lame.
Or like
I don't
really
know.
flashy pictures, like they're with their watch, like somehow they want to like show their status. They want to show that they make money, right?
Isn't it
like, I'm not drawn to that at all. That doesn't I'm not here.
It's repellent.
Oh yeah. As soon as I see somebody like that, like I can tell that
look
their
at my
ego's
Rolly or something.
I'm like, nope. I just want like a genuinely nice guy who's like free-spirited, is cares about the environment, is doing something interesting with their life. Like
talking about that really quick, it's amazing right now on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube, right? And I've had maybe like 1 or 2 ads a friend plays for me on like YouTube, right? But these fucking ads right now on YouTube, they're getting to a point where they're like infomercial cringe shit.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Like,
I mean, have you guys like this shit right now where they have the amount of people that's like, do you want to make $10 million?
Yeah.
It's just like everything's about making millions of dollars without anything that's admirable. That's like, oh, wow, you're a really good human. It's just like, I'm going to make you $10 million today.
Yeah.
Look at my Lamborghini. Look at my Mercedes. Look at this. And I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even fucking like,
yeah.
How are you as a human?
Yeah.
There's a few of them, and I'm just like, this is, it's like, where, like, you wonder where we're going in society, that people have a platform like YouTube or one of these things to do these advertisements. And it's just like, look at my 10 fucking cars. I think that that's actually an extremely negative thing. if you're rich and you have 10 expensive cars.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm not against being rich. I'm not against having money. I just think that you should have some sort of etiquette and some kind of human compassion that you're
Yeah.
like, this is, I mean, have an expensive car or two.
Like, what good are you doing with
Have a nice cabin on the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah.
Have a nice house.
Yeah.
But like having like 15 cars and
Yeah.
and you know, going around and bragging to everyone,
Yeah, it's just excessive.
you know, I mean, and there's a lot of people like that. Rita Rose Hubbleworth, who I believe actually lives in New York City and Paris, she says, I'm in the 6th.
Yep.
Is that Paris?
Paris, yeah, the 6th. So Saint-Germain, no?
Saint-Germain, she says.
Saint Germain. I'm
Saint
trying to
Ger-
remember. I think that's the 6th, the Saint-Germain.
So is that your favorite place to live? Paris?
I really loved it, but I would have to say Thailand is my favorite. That's why I'm back here.
Phuket's pretty nice, huh?
Phuket's good, yeah. Thailand's has its good things.
She said, Rita Rose says OUI, which I'm thinking ooey, but maybe
we.
Oh, OUI is we?
We.
Good thing I asked you.
Yes, she says.
I should know French because my grandfather is French,
you
born
should
in
know
France.
French
My mom's
and
half
Spanish.
French. And the only thing I know, do you know a French song where you hold each other's chin? Chumare, dumare, chantele, and you hold each other's chin? I don't know the words exactly.
Unfortunately, I don't know that.
And the
but I
first
wish I
person
did.
to smile gets smacked. This is something my grandma taught me since I was a little
Wow,
kid.
that sounds old school. I don't know. I don't know that. Never heard it.
Okay, so people who do that are most likely insecure and try to compensate. Yeah, I would say so.
Mhm,
He said it's beta
mhm,
for men to do this kind of thing. There's so many though. There's
mhm.
so many that do
There are a
that,
lot,
right?
there are a lot.
It's
And another one here with guys you find is because they're often traveling between like Singapore, Hong Kong, so they always have a picture of them in first class.
oh god.
As soon as I see that
It's
first
cringe,
class
huh?
picture, I'm like, no. Like, there's so many corporate guys, right?
Just in first
Thailand.
class right now.
Yeah, like there's a lot. Yeah, in New York they would get the same thing, you know. It's
But
just
are they
New York,
saying that
London.
they're in first class kind of a thing?
It's obvious. They've got like the stewardess to take a picture of them in like the seat, you know, like.
You know what's amazing is how expensive first class is to pay for a ticket, right? Have you ever sat first class?
I've never sat first class.
I don't
before.
know. I mean, it's outrageously
Premium
expensive.
economy is the farthest I've got.
I've done premium economy and I felt like a fucking boss. Like
It felt fucking good.
I did. I was like, what have I been doing? You know, I was like, geez, it is different.
Premium
It was
economy is.
I on Cathay Pacific. I don't know if it was premium economy or what, but it wasn't business. It was just right behind first class. They upgraded me. I've talked about this story before, and it was glorious.
Yeah,
It was great.
it makes a big difference.
He's already looked up your website. He said, great website, Jessica. Impressive work.
Wow, thanks. Who is that?
Dark Knight.
Thanks, Dark Knight.
All right. You can't buy class. I would agree with that. With Trump as president, that's what happens in the U.S., mate, in my opinion. Making a difference this world doesn't mean much to people like him. So that's the influence here. Yeah, I mean, you could say it's Trump. He definitely maybe contributes to that, being that he's been on the, here's what's funny, going back to being as old as I am, which I'm not that old, but when I was a little kid, I don't know if you guys remember the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach, Champagne Dreams and Caviar Wishes. Do you remember that? Or are you too young at 31?
I'm thinking of the song "Lifestyle of the Rich and the Famous."
Well, there used to be
It's
this
like
guy,
Good Charlotte or
Robin
something.
Leach. You guys could look it up on David. You're too young, probably, but you could look
I
it up
don't
on Rita Rose. You'd know. I think you're in your late 30s with me. So this show, like I said, I was a little kid, but I used to be interested because it'd be like, the rich and famous.
Sure.
Donald Trump was on this 30 fucking years ago.
Mhm.
And he was like the coolest dude, and
Mhm.
Robin Leach and all these people. I mean, he's been like this for a long time. It's just been taken to another level.
Mhm.
I think that, and this is what I eventually want to do with live stream or the podcast. I talked about this before. Just having conversations with someone like Jessica or someone else, and just having like a fucking conversation where we don't have to be like everyone's so trying to be so fucking cool and rich. I think I think having money is good.
Common conversations.
Yeah, like have some and then even like Joe Rogan, who I like, or Tim Ferriss, it seems like they recycle the same people that are somehow famous in some way, right? Like these Eric Weinstein, which is like, or
right.
Like you see these people again, like, and they make these tours of the show because they have a book or something like that. It's like talking to some common people that are not necessarily worth $10 million or have a ton of plastic surgery and have 15 books out and are an expert on XYZ. It's like, how about just talking to someone that's just fucking a good human being, like Jessica, right? So
that's right.
Right. So here's an interesting thing. I'm gonna coin this: human points. Right. So being a teacher for years, it's absolutely incredible how interested students are in getting their points. Right. Like, it's like, did I get points? Like, the only reason I come to class is because you're taking attendance and I get a point for that. Or I'm going to lose credits. Like, let me turn in my work for points, right? So that you can give me a grade. And sometimes, like, being a teacher for so long, you're like, kind of like, can we just fucking stop the points shit and see if we can learn something here? But at what level are we giving people in society human points, right? So, like, when Jessica's talking to me about, and this is not something I plan to talk about, and this is why I like having conversations like this. It's like, oh, when I go on Tinder or one of these dating apps and I see some guy with a 500 Benz, I don't even know the models of Benz. So that's an old one, and he's sitting by his car or something in his leather and stuff like that. You just are like, yeah, no, right, immediately, because it's like, what are you conveying right there? Like, you want to go out with me on a fancy dinner, cool car? Yeah, man. It's like, so what would be human points as a good person? So one thing that Jessica does is she feeds homeless dogs, which is actually true.
It's very true.
So we'll be hanging out and she'll be like, yeah, I got to go feed the dogs. And it's not her dogs. They're just street fucking dogs that congregate in a mountain area, and she goes up there and feeds them and feels good about herself for a day. And it's human points, though, right? Like, someone tells me that, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my God, you're such a great person. Yeah. But you're thinking like, good for you. Right? Like, that's a good thing. That's something you've done for a little while now.
It's been, I don't know, at least 2 to 3 months. No,
2 to 3
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, your feet.
When was COVID? I don't know.
What drew you to go start feeding these? I
exercise on that hill, so I would run into those dogs, and I could see one of them was super skinny. So, and I'm an animal lover, so I just decided to start feeding them, and then now it's become something that I can't, like, today I need to go back home to feed the dogs.
And so when you think about this, right, this is what's really interesting about charitable acts, right, is that you think like, oh, I'm doing it for the dogs, but actually it gives you a good feeling too, right? I
feel good about it. But But I have developed a relationship with them where, like, they expect me, and when they see me, like, they run to me, and it's like, it's like when you have your own animal at home and you arrive home after your day and your dog's so excited to see you. Like, I feel this, normally I've had animals in my life and I haven't been able to have one for a while. So this is like my animal substitute. They don't live at my house. They live at the temple, but.
So this would be a good thing that we could develop our own dating app where we go, what are your human points?
That could be something on
but there would be so many people that would lie, right?
I mean, yeah, there's always the liars out there.
What I always find interesting about charitable acts is how many people think donating money. Because I do think it's okay. I'm not putting people down for that, but that's passive aggressive.
I mean, you're not really too involved. It's
well, like some of these organizations, I'm not going to get into them because I've worked at charities before. Like, the people at the top make good salaries a lot of times, and that's okay because they are doing good work sometimes. But like where is your money going? And at the end of the day, like, if everyone, fed the dogs in the neighborhood like Jessica, find a loose dog, people.
The locals do. It's all about the the grassroots level. What's at your hands? What's at your feet? What do you see around you? You know, it doesn't have to be something so big and that you can't really imagine. You know, like the hierarchy, so it feels so far away. Like we have so much just right in front of us, and that's where you get your good human points. Like just be a good human. Like smile, you know, at the person passing by you if they look upset, or you know, try to give a little good to anyone. You know, say hi to your neighbor. You kind of influenced me to do that because often I would be like passing by and you're like, well, don't you know who your neighbor is? And I'm like, well, no, I don't know who they are.
Be first.
Yeah, be first.
I would
and
do that.
like I've started smiling at people when I pass by, and often they're like almost taken back by it, and then they'll respond with a smile a lot of the time, or they'll be like confused, or they'll just stay in their own world. Yeah,
be first. Be first. Be friendly. Be genuinely just nice and first.
Yeah,
and people usually will react to that. Okay, so let me get into some of the stuff from the live stream. Most first classes being canceled on airlines. So that won't affect me in any way. And now I'm guessing she prefers the cold approach.
What? What's that?
Cold approach. I think what David means by that is, you know, someone that meets you at the mall and just like, hey, what's up? What's your name? What's your number?
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And you said that you thought that was more prevalent when you lived in Paris. Did you say that before?
In Toronto.
Like a guy would come up to you at the coffee shop and say, what's cooking, good looking?
Yeah, basically. More or less. Sometimes in Paris it could be a bit annoying because I found like
what's the best cold approach you've come across? Has there been a good one that you were like, ooh, that was smooth?
I honestly right now on the top of my head I can't think of anything.
Oh, there's been so many. Oh, here we go.
No, I can think of I can think of a good one. It was in Mexico. And this guy who approached me and my friends, well, there were two guys, and they approached me and my friends. We were at a restaurant that we ate at a lot. And they just came over and they started talking to us. And then they were really friendly, down to earth. They were Mexican, and we ended up becoming good friends with them. And we, in our time in Mexico,
you slept together?
No, we never slept together.
It was a cold approach, though.
Well, we didn't. So in the end, we didn't end up having a relationship. But
did you French kiss?
We never kissed, but those were his intentions. He wanted to have something with me, but I wasn't interested in that.
You weren't attracted to him. You were cat pawing him.
He was like double my age.
So what was his approach that was attractive? Like, what was it? What was it?
He was very...
Or was it just that he spoke Spanish and you like Spanish?
No. There was something about there. In the beginning, we were a bit hesitant because we were like, oh, these older guys just want to hit on us, you know? But because I was it wasn't just me by myself.
How old were you?
20.
20?
21.
Jeez, that is
young. He would have been like 38, maybe.
My age.
Yeah.
Which is old, huh?
Well, I don't think I was
double your age, actually.
I wasn't ready for that when I was 21. And
okay, so what?
He was a gentleman, you know. His approach to everything was very gentlemanlike, and that was kind of nice because when you're 21, you don't really get that. But I saw him more as a friend, and I think he was trying more so for something to happen. But he was a gentleman, and he was hospitable, and we didn't end up dating, but we ended up doing some really nice things together. So it turned out to be more of a friendship.
Wow, that's a broad way of putting it. We did some nice things together. Okay.
We never hooked up.
It was PG. Okay, so what would you describe being a gentleman as? Because I think that the interesting thing about being a gentleman, especially with everything out there, there's this whole thing of being too nice a guy, right? Like you've been around guys probably that you're like, he's really nice, but I'm not attracted to him. And it's probably contributed to the fact that the guy's a little too nice. So I come across this a lot in breakups where there's this like fine line where they describe the story and I'm like, well, why do you keep apologizing or why do you keep explaining yourself? Doesn't seem like you did anything wrong. And it's this quote unquote nice guy syndrome. And so what's the line between being a gentleman and being too nice? Because I'm sure you've met guys that are too nice. What do you think?
Well, I think there's other factors that play into that as well. Like being, I don't know. So a gentleman is somebody who kind of has some old school, like grandfather class, you know, but they're not too old school. But, you know, just some generous things. Like it can be just like little ways of maneuvering, you know, your body, or like when you're with someone, like kind of the way you hold. It's like it's small things that are kind of characteristics of that person. And I don't think if you weren't raised that way or you don't have it, I don't think you necessarily can be that kind of a person. I think it comes with maybe the way you were raised.
The gentleman.
Like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it.
Would you say like getting in the door for someone?
That's nice. Yeah, holding a door is nice. Sure.
Like, what's something that's small that, like, I remember a woman I worked with. This is random, but I worked with this woman, and she was like, she just loves when a guy will like lightly put his hand on her shoulder or her back, like to guide her through a door. Is that? She was like, oh, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like in my early 20s. I'm like, really? And she's like, just a light.
But she knows them.
Yeah. It wasn't a random.
I think light human touch is nice.
Human touch is
especially
underrated in that way.
If that's your affirmation, like love, you know, like your love sign. Like some people like human touch. Some people like kind words. Some people like.
That's true.
So like whichever one works for you, you know. But I think like a little bit of human touch is a good thing. So hand on the shoulder, whatever. I'm not one for walking around holding hands all the time. So maybe just like a little bit of human touch. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. It's like, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I'm next to you. Like,
so have you had it? So you had this older guy that you met when you were 20 and he was 38, and probably one of the reasons, and I'm not going to speak for you, can confirm or disconfirm this, the fact that you were 20 years old, he was 38, and you probably hung out with a lot of guys from Nova Scotia that were, you know, 18, 19, 20. That were like guys when you're in that age range, right? Do they tend to be more insecure or just immature is the word? Because I've always heard from women like that are in their, you know, early 20s and stuff that guys tend to be immature.
I mean, we were all immature at that age, but yes, guys are mature for sure. I mean, it's
just and by being immature, they're just less sure of themselves or less comfortable.
Maybe the guys who I was with, like, previous to this trip in university, it was all very
beer pong and
there was a lot
field parties. Jessica tells me that where she came from, they just had parties in giant fields.
Yeah, field parties. But there was beer pong for sure. There were keg stands. There was that kind of university shenanigans. So going back to the nice guy, because this comes up, like I said, a lot. Have you had a guy that you dated? Let's just get more specific on this, because I'm making the question too. That you were like, you know what, I liked him, but he was just too nice. No, I've never had that. I don't think I've ever had that.
Because too nice you like?
No, I mean, I don't think that they were ever too. I don't think I was ever unattracted to them because they were too nice.
Okay.
Like that was never. I've never been in that situation. If I find, I think the thing with being too nice is it often can come across as being not, like, a little bit fake, and it doesn't seem authentic. It's like it's not part of their authentic self, and that's what can really
trying too hard to please.
Yeah. It's
not
like,
being true to
yourself.
yourself.
What about you? Where are you in all of this? It's like it seems like they're losing their self and only thinking about.
And you'd say that. Would you say that it's healthy to have some disagreements and some arguments about things?
You need to find a balance. You need to be you, and I think that's what's
part of the nice guy thing. So what would you say are maybe the 2 or 3 things that, like, you have identified where you're like, for example, myself, I do like when a woman's independent. I do like when a woman has her own opinion and can do her own thing and is not needy or calling you up all the time. Like, we've talked about this before, like neediness. Some people are attracted to needy people, right? It's not necessarily that no one likes that. Is there a few things about guys that immediately you're like, yeah, no, after a date, even if you're attracted to them? Personality.
Neediness is a big one.
Because I always think that neediness to females is the number one unattractive thing to a woman.
Yeah. Really,
would you agree?
100%.
And how have you had that in a situation before? Defined?
I feel like that I experienced it more when I was younger, like in my 20s. And as soon as a guy got too clingy or needy, or like they were just there too much. So they were there, like in your phone, they were there on your your Facebook, they were there like in person, and just there was, space is good. Space is important.
It's
Independence.
good to miss someone.
Be your own person.
It's good to miss someone. I think that gets lost in things.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why, when you live with someone or you're with someone full time for like 5, 6, 7 years, doesn't mean you don't love them or those things. It's just beyond the monotony of some things. It can just be sometimes like too much of the same person. It's like if you eat eggs, bacon, and toast every fucking day.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's not personal.
100%.
But then you get to a point where you're just like, I'm really tired of this. And they'll just have like some little things about them. And now you're like, fuck. I hate when you lick your fingers and eat potato chips. It's disgusting. I let it go for the first year. Right?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like those things start to like piss you.
Away.
Yeah,
they
like,
away.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
I know you're going to buy those chips again, or I know you're going to do that, right? It's so funny. All right, let me get into the live stream a little bit here. So Heart and Soul wins the day all day. Full Circle Productions Media. Good to see you, bud. You're a good human being, bro. You too. That's a friend of mine, actually, from San Diego. Good people. The worst kind of rich are those that aren't self-made. You can spot them within 5 minutes of talking to them. Total douchebag, says Dark Knight. I mean, there are some that are self-made that I could say are asses too, though.
It's money can change people.
Is this chick single or what? Yes, she is single. Yes, she is. Do dating apps have a video intro option?
I think Hinge does. I don't know because I didn't dive too much.
Hi, I'm Jessica Sheila, and this is,
You can put a video. I think Tinder you can put a video also, but maybe it doesn't have sound.
Well, Full Circle Productions is a media and video company. Maybe you could do something with that sometime, Full Circle. He actually has some really cool, if you guys go to Full Circle Productions Media, he's out of California, but he does good work. Very good work. Never been on one, LOL, but that could be a cool option to rule some of the fake out or rule in. Do you agree? The video intro option would, again, someone could act fake in a video, I suppose.
I think that what I've seen on Tinder is like often they pair like a video. It's not speaking. It's like it's some sort of motion of themselves. Like they're walking somewhere.
You know what? This is just an idea off the top of my head that would actually be interesting and would actually work for a dating app, I think. So this book, Tribe of Mentors, which I don't get any money or anything for it. I'm just giving you an example. What's really interesting is he just interviewed people with the same 10 questions. And a lot of them successful, famous. Really cool book because everyone has a different answer. But like, it would be cool if we had a dating app where there was just 10 questions and someone was interviewed. That would be interesting. If there were good questions and then seeing someone answer them live. The only thing about that is you could have some people that were prepared for the questions and could like overdo it, right? But at the same time, I think that would be a good way to do it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Like, what are your human points?
Yeah, because
how are you charitable to society?
Hinge does kind of get along those lines a bit, but they have 3. You choose 3, and they provide the question for you. And I guess the rest of those questions is left up to you. You choose what you ask the person in your chats.
Rob's saying the Loco app, LOKO, does this. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Okay. So he was friend zoned. So David's talking about the Mexican guy that's the older guy. You friend zoned him.
Right. Yeah, I friend zoned
him. So just to clarify, because Jessica, she friend zoned him and she likes friend zoning. So she friend zoned him. But what about cat pawing? Is this something that cat pawing is like you're playing with someone that likes you? And I think there's a difference. I think when someone gets friend zoned, it's kind of clear. It's like you're friends and I don't like you in that way. Where like you can be friends with someone and be attracted to them in moments.
But can't you cat paw because you're not so certain of how you feel? So your intentions come across as cat pawing, but really you're just trying to see, like you're trying to suss it out a little bit more. I
think for men, in the world of men, this is where we would call it a shit test. Where you're trying to play a game to see if we bite. Anyone agree with that? We've talked about that before.
But doesn't the street run both ways?
Do men cat paw women or shit test women? Yeah, they can. I think women do it more often. Men consider themselves more reasonable and to the point,
Yeah.
but there are definitely men that will play games for fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, yeah, I guess, but I've had some ties who I've chatted with, and they haven't been like, they've made it seem like we're gonna meet up and have a coffee, and then they want to know, they're like, oh, but like I want to come over to your place or wherever, like, and they haven't been straight out about their intentions. We've just had a normal conversation, like learning about who they are, what's going on in their life, in Tinder. And then they're like, and then you say, okay, well, like, they say, let's meet up. And you're like, all right, let's meet up here at this coffee house. And they're like, no, like, you come over to mine or I'll come over to yours.
And to your house?
Yeah. And then you're like, no, I would rather meet somewhere else. And then they delete you from their contacts because their intentions were that they only wanted to have sex, but they weren't straight up. But maybe that's culture. Like maybe that's Thai versus Western.
I don't know if I think that's man.
Yeah.
That's like, man for like,
that's a cat paw. You've just wasted like an hour chatting.
I know what you're saying. I know where you're coming from. I would say that's not a cat paw. That is a lion going. That's a lion actually going for the gold.
Yeah, but they weren't straight up in the beginning. And then as soon as they say, okay, we'll come over, it's like,
no, he's being straight up by saying, no, I want to see you at the house, hon.
Yeah, but the woman is saying, well, I'm not comfortable with that. Let's have a coffee first and let's meet in person.
Well, a cat paw would be him going to meet you at the
and seeing how you feel, seeing if you actually like this guy because you haven't met him in person yet.
Would you even like if you just met the guy at the coffee shop? Would you go back to his place after the coffee?
I haven't ever.
Have you ever done that? Oh yeah, here the truth comes out. She tried to lie, and then she's like, "Hold on, yeah."
No,
she had her eyes went like this, fluttering.
I'm thinking I've done that in person, but I don't think I've done that on Tinder.
Well, that would be a one-night stand, like you just meet someone
at
a bar.
I've had one-night stands, but I don't think on Tinder I've ever met. I can't remember. I don't think I have.
Do you like one-night stands?
They can be fun in the moment, sure. I haven't had one in a long time, but
I think that it's one of those things. It's like. They can be good. They can be bad. Mm-hmm. There's a big term through the breakup community called monkey branching. Have you ever heard of this? Mm-mm. I didn't know this before I started doing breakup coaching and helping people out. And you come across like new terms on the internet, and people are like, "Oh, she monkey branched," and it's like,
I've never heard this.
she's and like when I first started, because like I said, when I first started, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you what I think about your story and do my best to help people out based on being in a breakup, being in different relationships in my life. I'm not coming at it from like a psychology. And then like the monkey, like these different terms, you're like, what's this mean? Right. So I know what it's mean. I know what it's meant for a long time, but it basically means like if you break up and you're with someone immediately.
Oh, right.
To the next branch. Have you done that before?
No, I've never been that. No, I haven't. I mean, my last long-term relationship was over a year ago.
Okay.
If I was monkey branching, I would have had at least a few guys.
If a friend or like someone you knew did that, would you feel like that's bad?
I do have friends who do that.
That are women.
Yeah, that are women for sure.
And what do you think that's in? So this is interesting. Do you think that's like because a lot of guys sometimes will be like, God, it's so, or women like, God, it's so low. They just monkey branch, and I'm like, well, I mean, they could have been out of the relationship. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's due to loneliness. Sometimes it's due to like. Some people are able to pivot out of a relationship very quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of my friends, she's now
never single.
She never was single. She's now married and has a kid. But I mean, previous to that, she definitely monkey branched. Like there was very short time between.
Her husband must. Wow, I wouldn't want to be her husband.
She sometimes had overlaps between, like
she would line someone up,
or she would meet somebody new and she lost interest in the person she was with, and then. It would fade into the next.
But she had the ability to meet a new guy quickly.
Yeah.
That would be her flavor of the month. Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I mean, I think
I
think it can be something psychological or something that has to do with the way maybe.
Was she attractive?
Yeah, she's cute. She's a cute girl. She's beautiful.
She's good at flirting. Because
I think
to come out of a relationship where you break up, right?
Yeah.
And to have feelings for someone, then immediately go into a new relationship means that you have the ability to, get someone when you want them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So was she seductive?
She maybe she was able to just really like, it was almost like she stayed in her relationships even though they weren't necessarily in the best place, but she never broke up with that person. And then she would meet some, like she had already lost interest in her relationship, but stayed with that person. And then met somebody new, and then that gave her reason to leave the current one.
So she lined up a guy, and then the idea that the guy's like, "Oh my God, you monkey branched, or you just went into a new relationship." The reality is, she was checked out prior. She was checked out prior to.
I'm not sure, but that's like kind of an assumption I have. I mean, how else can you so easily move between? Like, don't you have any feelings for that person? Like, her breakups were never tumultuous, you know. Like, it was just okay. That guy was no good. Now I'm on to the next one.
I think people just develop a playbook. Like, this worked for me before. Yeah. I'm going to do it again. Like, this is kind of how I do things. And then if they're able to get out first, was she the one to usually break up?
Yeah.
See?
Every time.
And someone would be like, all women are like this. And I'm like, not all women are like this.
I just wanted her to be single for a little while, you know, like, let's go out with the girls.
Oh, is that right? Oh, because she liked having.
She was always with someone, yeah.
Like, she couldn't go without, she couldn't be comfortable being single.
Yeah, but I mean, like, she would still go. Her current guy is awesome. He's awesome. They're, you know, it's not the same as her previous guys. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, the monkey branching. She was. I guess she was monkey branching.
All right. David Jesser says, I can agree with that. Being a gentleman just does come with how you were raised. And then that would be defined by the individual, what gentleman acts are, I suppose. Delete her for, okay. All I needed, I'm out of there, man. Okay. Mr. Slamming 123, how you doing, bud? We'll be talking soon. If I delete her, she'll think I want something to do with her, though. I don't know what that's. JS MIDI, I don't know what that's in regard to. You just retracted all your messages. So, Tinder is mainly used for hookups. Would you agree?
I mean, that's the word on the street. That's the reputation that the app has, yes.
And that's why you choose it.
But I do know, I know people who have long-term relationships from people they've met on Tinder, and I know one person who got married. Only one, though.
A man knows right away if she's interested. Energy, easy to read, no need to force anything if you know what you're doing. What do you think women do to show a man that they have interest? Besides just being like extremely flirtatious.
I mean, I think that they're present, you know, like they're not leaving a lot of space between contact, whether it's a text, whether it's whatever, you know, there's presence in your communication. There's interest. They're asking, you know, they want to know about you. They remember things about you. You know, they're just present in whatever is happening.
Okay. There was a lady that was on the live stream before. I thought it was interesting. She just said that if you're dating a woman and you're not sure, or you're seeing a woman, she'll make it easy for you. I think what she meant by that, not that the woman would be easy, but in other words, like open to meet up when you want to meet up. Not difficult to make
exactly plans.
She's like, we'll make it easy for you. And exactly. I was like, that's a simple way to put it. I think
that's it.
I think if you're as a guy, because we can get caught up in our heads, like, oh, I don't know, she wasn't. If she's agreeing to meet up with you and she's not being difficult and open to new conversations and stuff like that, I think that's a very big sign.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Personally, I don't usually spend too much time with a woman that I'm not attracted to. Calling them friends is an understatement. It's more like someone you know. Okay. And everyone's different about this. Like, we've talked about this friend thing before. Like, there's some guys that are like, I just don't have women that are friends. And I think that's a lot of times that's contributed to where you work. Because like I talked about this before. My father was a truck driver. Your father's commercial fisherman. Would you say? Maybe sure. You don't want to share this.
Yeah.
But he worked with men primarily, right? Like, men. My dad too.
Male dominant industry.
Yeah, my dad too. Like, so like you meet friends through your job a lot of times, or if you're at school. And I think that if your job place or where you spend most of your time is integrated, then you probably would be more likely. Me being a teacher, it's probably 60% women. I don't know. Maybe it's 50-50. I'm not sure. You're more likely to be that way. No monkey branching is building a new relationship while you're still in a relationship. Okay, thanks for clarifying that, Dark Knight. And then dumping your old relationship when you feel the new one is secure enough. So that's kind of what you say your friend did, right? She's laughing because she's like, oh my God, that's exactly what my friend did. So that's like a strategy, I guess, that's developed. Like I said, in doing this, what people don't realize is that everyone's developing their own playbook. And then as you get older, people just repeat like, oh, monkey branching. Like they don't know they're doing that, but they're like, oh, this has worked for me before and I don't get hurt. Right. Low's kind of human trash monkey branches, right? Dark Knight. They are damaged and immature people with absolutely no self-respect. So you might want to send that to your friend, Jessica, who's married now and hopefully not going to monkey branch again. But Jessica's looking like, yeah, maybe she already is.
No, she's not. But when she was mostly doing the big monkey branching when she was in high school in like young 20s.
Oh, okay.
But then as she kind of progressed into her later 20s, I would say, well, then we weren't living in the same place, so I don't really know how she met.
Her arms got tired.
But it definitely happened when we were younger, yeah.
Yes, I need to know the secret of finding someone quickly.
I don't know.
Jessica's like,
good
question.
You got to put yourself out there.
Monkey branchers have low self-esteem and very poor communication. Dark Knight's going to town on monkey branchers. They have a fear of being alone.
Yeah, I think that they do.
I would say that there's probably some out there too that just, like I said, they've done it before, and so that this is what they think happens at the end of relationships. And this is what's really, really interesting doing what I do and talking to different people is that like, if you had a bad relationship or a bad breakup, and then afterwards you think all men are that way or you've probably heard people say like, oh, well, all men are this way or all women are that way. And it just like goes over your head like no big deal. That actually is extremely detrimental to an individual meeting someone new because they're constantly like all men cheat.
Yeah, or it's a huge generalization.
All Tinder apps are shit or all dating apps are shit. I hear that a lot.
You've already made your mind up, right?
Right. And it's because of an experience. So, I said, should I keep my LDR ex on Snapchat so she can see my progress? What do you think of that?
What's LDR?
LDR, see? This is breakup lingo, relationship lingo. So welcome. Long distance relationship.
Oh, wow. Okay. Long distance.
It's an LDR.
LDR.
Have you been in an LDR?
Well, for a short time.
Okay, we can go in that too in another time. So he's Jay Smitty Jr. So I said should I keep my LDR ex on Snapchat so she could see my progress? So he has an ex-girlfriend,
right?
Long distance. What I would like to hear your take on that. Kind of a simple question.
So Snapchat, I'm not a Snapchat user. So on Snapchat, you post a picture and it lasts. You have to send it to someone, or anyone can.
I think they have stories on Snapchat.
It's like
it's like a short 10 or 13 second. I don't use Snapchat either, but from what I've seen, it's like a little story, like a little like, oh, I'm kicking it with my buddies right now at Five Guys Burger Shop, and they have the music in the background.
Right. And then it lasts for 24 hours and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Or a few seconds when you open it.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So,
well, I think it really depends on what kind of relationship you have with your ex. When did you break up? How recent is it? Have you been broken up for, did you remain, have you kept in contact on your other social platforms? Like, is she still your Facebook friend? Does she follow you on Instagram? Like, why is Snapchat? What about Snapchat that's different? Like, either they're in your realm of contacts or they're not. So it's like, if they're in one, like,
I'm listening.
I mean, like, if you still keep them somewhere in your circle of your social life, then
you're on good terms.
Yeah, you're.
So what I think maybe you wouldn't agree, but what I would say is like, first of all, Jay Smitty Jr., check your intentions at the door. Are you trying to be deceptive?
What are your intentions?
Are you trying to be like trying to get them jealous? If you are, I would shelve that because if you get found out, you're gonna feel shitty. She's gonna feel shitty about you, And so if your intentions are, yeah, I'm just having a good time, and if by chance she sees my good Snapchats, fine. If you're trying to post something to get a reaction out of her and you don't,
Exactly.
you'll feel shittier.
Yeah, exactly.
So be yourself, be genuine. And the thing is, be indifferent. She's your ex now if she cares about your fucking Snapchat story or not. But if you're doing it with the intention of, oh, I hope she catches this Snapchat and gets jealous because I was at fucking Taco Bell and there's a cute fucking cashier or something like that. I don't know. If you're doing it like that, you're going to disappoint yourself. And the other part I would add is if you were with someone for 2, 3, 4 years on any level of connection that was good, they fucking know you. So I think they know when you're trying.
Yeah, like
what you know what I mean? Like
your intentions?
Yeah, like they would be like, you know, if you saw me on Snap, like I said, I don't use Snapchat, but if I do something out of my character, they would be like, oh God, he's trying so hard to get my, like they would know. And so that's where I would be like, overall, my short answer is if you want her back and you're sensitive to her opinion of you, then I would not leave Snapchat open because you're kind of creating a booby trap for yourself, in my opinion. If she's laughing at your jokes, even though you know they're lame, she's interested. Is that true?
I think so.
I always just think I'm funny.
Do you know if your lames are jokes? I mean, do you know if your jokes are lame or not? Like, are you aware of that?
I mean, humor's an opinion, right? Yeah. So you know when your sense of humor lines up with another person. So like there's certain people that, and there's certain, for me personally, someone that talks a lot and communicates a lot. And being that I've been a teacher and being that I do breakup coaching and I do different things and I have different relationships with different people, I kind of can set boundaries with certain people about the kind of sense of humor you'd have about certain things. But yeah, like in my head, I'm like, do I have lame jokes? Yeah. Are they that lame? I guess, you know, it depends on the audience, but yeah, if I think anytime you make any human being, let alone a date, laugh, people remember how you make them feel. Sure. So if you're able to do that, I mean, laughter is just a positive experience for everyone, I would hope. Right. That's usually how it's been a month of no contact. Oh, so he's saying that they used to communicate through Snapchat. See here. She never posted much when we were still in contact, but I stopped talking to her after begging like a bitch for 2 months. Well, it's good that you stopped if you were begging for 2 months. Does she prefer to chase, Mac? Oh, this is a really good question, David. This actually comes up. This actually comes up sometimes. So there's this dilemma that if you like a guy, would you rather be the one that chases him?
No, because I might lose some interest and think that they're not interested at all if I have to chase after them.
So you don't even know.
Like I want to know if I'm gonna chase after them. I want them to be obvious to the fact that they want to be chased.
Okay, so like look at this from a different angle. If a guy that you were attracted to is chasing you, would you find that needy?
Well, there's a fine line there. There's a fine line there.
Her face just went like this.
I think there needs to be interest on both sides, you know, and if you're interested in that person, then I don't know. I guess it's more complicated than that.
It's like, a case-by-case situation.
Yeah, I can't just generalize.
Have you had a guy over chase?
Yeah, then that's clingy. They're not chase. If they're clingy, then they're.
I think the short answer is you'd prefer to chase, probably.
I guess. I mean, yeah.
But you don't want to label yourself a chaser. That's the thing. You don't want to feel like you're chasing.
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I don't know.
Oh, a kid's smile just broke out like, what? Oh my God.
I don't know if if I'm thinking about my most previous relationship, I guess, yeah.
You chased him.
I chased him, but I knew he was interested in me.
Okay, so you're saying that you do need to feel like the guy's interested in some way.
Yeah. Or else then you're just putting out all this effort and if you're not receiving any response, well then it's kind of nice to maybe like you chase them a bit and maybe they chase you a bit and then you end up chasing each other at the same time.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It doesn't, but go ahead. That's fine. I'll take it as your opinion. Now she's posting like 10 times more than she used to. I've clicked on and viewed her stories. It's been a month since I've talked to her or viewed her stories. So you're saying that maybe the fact that she's doing 10 times more on Snapchat is to get your attention? Possibly. You know her better than I do, this individual. Take her off, bro. Oh, he's talking about Snapchat. So I was like, are you talking about Jessica right now?
Get rid of her.
What do you guys think so far of this interview style and or this kind of chit chat back and forth? Let me know in the comments. Is it affecting you mentally having her on Snap? Ryan Phil Weber, welcome. I don't know if I've seen you on before. Overall, like I said, if you like this ex-girlfriend and you're in a long distance and you broke up with her, I would say I would cut contact. I don't think it's attractive that you guys are passively aggressively being on social media and then worried about what each other's doing. If down the road in 2 or 3 or 4 months, like when the smoke clears from the breakup, you want to re-enter things, then fine. I would need to know your full story, Jay Smitty, but I mean, like this kind of game where you're like, oh, was she watching me? Was I watching her? It's a lot of entanglement. Yeah. It's a lot of junk. And it's not going to lead to you getting back together. Do you agree? Healthy. Yeah. It's not going to lead to you getting back together.
There's just a lot of misassumptions.
And if you do get back together, it's going to be out of jealousy or something. Oh, Ryan says, first time on live, but have watched a ton of your videos. Okay, welcome. I like doing live streams. This is the first time I've done one with Jessica here. I think that in the future we'll do some. I think, let me know. We only have 4 likes. If you like the video, throw a like. David says he likes it. Do you like this style of basically a conversation, right? I didn't know where we were going to go with this, but getting a female's perspective and talking about some different things here. I want her back. I have other hot girls interested. Okay. But I have posted isn't it so funny the term hot?
Attractive.
Yeah. What do you use when you're attracted to a guy? Do you go like he's hot?
I think I would have used that word maybe when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like it's
what do you say now if there's a guy that you're attracted to?
I think like just initially if I see a cute guy, I'll say, oh, he's cute. Or
you won't go over the top like
I don't think I use the word hot. Oh, he's hot.
It's interesting.
Maybe. I don't know. If I'm with my girlfriends, I'm probably like, oh, look at that guy. Look how that's a cute guy over there.
Hot with 2 T's. Okay, but I haven't posted. So he writes, I want her back. I have other hot girls interested, but I haven't posted any of them because I don't want to scare her off. Okay, right there is weak. So the fact that you are making moves with the idea of scaring someone off is already weak. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like,
yeah.
You might be thinking like, Jessica, help me out on this. But from a woman's perspective, if you're doing things where like, I don't want to scare her off, you're going to come off weak.
Yeah. So
I basically stopped my begging. I've never had a girl dump me before.
Begging is not good.
Period.
And
Begging
doesn't help you.
And here's what I've noticed when people beg. They continue to beg. And you're basically, I've said this before, you're an annoying salesman that keeps trying to sell someone something. And what happens when you get an annoying salesman in your life? You're like, I'll never fucking buy anything from you. Like I always talk about this like a tourist trap, right? Hey, you've lived in Mexico or one of these places that sometimes are like, hey, senorita. And you're like, okay, no, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I'll never buy anything from you.
For
like
sure.
You're making me. And the reason why begging's bad is you think you're focused on what you want, and you think by saying something simple like sorry or I miss you, I'm hurting, so you should care about me. It's actually extremely selfish. You're not listening to why someone broke up with you. And you're not listening that they don't want to be with you, and you're acting like a child that wants an ice cream at the end of school or something. And then you go, oh, I got to tell them one more thing. Again, you're focused on yourself, but you think somehow that you're going to get pity. And that's there are some people out there that will give you pity and take you back, but it won't be healthy. It won't be a good relationship.
The same circle's probably just going to repeat itself.
But the part that I want to get at with begging is what begging breeds at its best is you make your ex feel guilty. And that's not attractive. Like if I feel guilty because you're begging me back, in a weak moment, maybe we hook up. Maybe we hook up as a guy. A guy will be like Friday or Saturday night. Oh shit! You know what? Fuck it. You know, Jessica's been really weak and needy recently, and but we could hook up. Let's be fine. Like the other part of that, someone will take advantage of the weakness and the begging, but they don't necessarily want a woman, especially like you're just declining with every beg mode, right? Have you been begged before?
I guess. Not really, though.
Not for a long period of time?
I'm just trying to think with my most recent relationship, like when we were breaking up. He wasn't a bagger. No, he didn't bag.
And that's probably one of the reasons you liked him. Like, it makes you feel respect for someone.
If he was bagging, I wouldn't. I would feel like I needed space.
Yeah.
Give me space.
So... Short answer, Jay Smitty, give space at all angles. Let the smoke clear. Your best chance of ever getting her back is to completely ignore her right now and move on with your life. Dark Knight, I agree. Based on what you're saying, Jay Smitty says, it's driving me crazy because I've always been good with girls. Okay, so if you're good with girls, then fucking pivot.
Yeah.
Then you should, if that's true, then you should be able to find someone equal or higher value. But I had my emotions involved, so I fucked up and was hella clingy. Hella, are you from California? I've never been dumped before and it freaked out. So again, everything's I. This happened to me. I'm this, I'm that. So this fucked with your identity because you're like, I'm fucking bulletproof. I get fucking girls. I'm great. I'm good with women. Well, here's a reality check, dude. It doesn't mean you're bad with girls. It just means you're fucking human. You're not bulletproof with love. And that not every woman in the world, even if she's with you, this is the crazy thing about relationships. There's always uncertainty. There's always a possibility of breaking them. There's always a possibility that your girlfriend of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, your boyfriend of 2, 3, 4, 5 years can get a new job, move to a new environment, or have a new friend that's single and go out and meet someone and then go, oh my God, I shouldn't be with Todd anymore. It's possible. It's always possible. So first time on live, Mac. All right, Dark Knight. It's nice having a guest. Good. We're going to continue to do this. You know my story, Mac. Honestly, it doesn't fit into anything I've learned of on breakup. Suddenly disappeared, as you know, and even been off all social media for months now. Weird situation. I don't know if it's weird, Scotty. It's just more or less, it hasn't happened to you before. Like I said, when I talk about these playbooks, when something hasn't happened to you before, like you said, like the dude up here, it's like, I never have problems with girls. It's like, well, this is your time to learn some shit, right?
Yeah.
And there was something wrong there. There is some flaws in it. The reality is a lot of times people blame themselves or say they fucked up. It's not always that. It's just the circumstances and the timing. Those are at the core of most relationships. Yeah, you're right, brother. LOL. Thanks, Jay Smitty. If someone has other hot girls waiting on him, he's not usually thinking about his ex. Just saying. Dark Knight, I would agree. Begging will sink you. Has she been attracted to an ex again? Okay, this is a really good question.
Yes.
Immediately. If so, what were those things that attracted her back? So you did go back to an ex.
I went back to my ex. Yeah.
Wow. She said that really serious too.
Yeah, because that's something that actually happened. So yeah. And it was recent. It was like 2 years ago. That's when I came back to Thailand. We got back together.
That's not the reason you came back, though.
No, but it was like I had seen him when I was visiting Thailand a few months before that I moved back here, and I hadn't seen him in 2.5 years, something like that. And so the first time I saw him, like I don't know, there was just a feeling, there was an energy. We both just look at each other, we smile, we hug.
So you knew right away.
I knew right away what was going to happen. Yeah, I knew what was
going to happen. But you were
down.
in text. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so how long were you together initially?
Like,
you don't have to give the exact day.
Yeah, 3.5 to 4 years.
3.5 to 4 years. You lived together for most of the time.
We lived together.
So it's pretty on. When you live together, I always think it's different.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
higher level of
We
connection.
lived together.
You
for
broke up.
at least,
You moved away to Paris because you wanted to live a Hollywood lifestyle as a photographer.
and we did
You
long
wanted to have
distance
croissants, cigarettes, and coffee on a good one.
and wine.
And wine, yeah. So you
And we
moved away
did
to
long
France.
distance
You did long distance when you moved.
for about 5 months. So from September, October, November, December, about 5 months.
And then
I broke it off with him
because of the long distance, and you were
because of
starting
the long distance.
and you were starting to be attracted to French men.
And I was, yes, I couldn't.
When you broke it off, did you already cheat?
No.
But
I could have.
Oh, I believe you. What did you?
But I didn't.
But you
I didn't.
wanted to.
Yeah,
So that's why you broke
There
up.
was a part of me that wanted to.
Did you tell him that?
I have told him that since then, but in that moment I didn't tell him.
What did you say? The distance
I
is
don't
just too
remember.
tough.
I basically told him the distance wasn't working. I didn't know if I was going to be coming back to Thailand or not.
Mhm.
I wanted to really be present in where I was.
So 3.5, 4-year relationship. She moves to Paris in the name of being a better photographer. You went to some photography school of some sort, right?
Yes, I went to
Okay.
study.
Okay, very interesting. And the photography was 35 millimeter, just to clarify, right?
No, that was digital. But I still shoot with my 35 millimeter. Yes.
Okay, so 4 or 5 months. So let's just get some clarity on this. And this is why you needed some story background. So it's just not just a general thing. Oh, she just went back to her ex because she missed him.
So we had a lot of time in between.
So 4 or 5 months, long distance, you break up, and then from that point, about a year till you come back.
It was another 2.5 years.
Okay, so another 2.5 years till you came back to Thailand.
We stayed in contact, but not very much.
And when you were in contact,
months.
there wasn't like, are you seeing someone else?
We did. There were a few times we brought that up as the years progressed because, I was curious and he was curious, and he had always said to me that he wasn't seeing anyone.
Oh yeah, but you didn't believe him.
I believed that he was sleeping with people, but I didn't believe when he told me he didn't have a serious relationship. I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Because seeing someone to me means different things for different people.
Yeah.
Like someone told me one time they're like, "Oh, I'm seeing someone," and then they say my boyfriend, and I'm like, seeing someone is before you're official to me, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I believe that there was somebody that could have been seeing someone or something more serious.
Got it. So when you came back into town, you were like, "Oh, let's meet up and get something to eat or something."
So I told him, I'm going to be coming to Thailand. This was like a few months in advance. Like I would really like to see you. And then we kind of were on.
And you had no ill feelings. You had no ill.
Oh yeah, I was nervous. I was wondering, like, what's this going to be like? How am I going to feel? How is he going to feel?
Was it hard for you to get to the point where you were like, oh, should I call him or should I not? Or were you like, no, I'm going to see him when I'm there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I knew I was going to see him. And
what was your intentions? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, to be honest, I missed him. And because I haven't met, he was like my one and only love. And so I haven't had anybody like him since.
Okay.
So I was excited to see him and I did miss him. And so when I saw him, I was very happy to see him. And everything that I had worried about went out the door instantly. And none of that was there.
There was no angst. There was no questions asking, and you guys were just present.
Yeah.
So that's what I always say is that usually whatever had happened, or dare I say that it was good that you guys had this break.
I think it was good because
it wasn't going to work long term the way it was.
It wasn't going to work, and our relationship had a lot of problems, and we've been able to speak about all those problems and like on a very open page. And it's been really. There's been a lot of growth there for me personally, and I think for him also.
So you guys got back together. How long did it last? We can say, because I only have about 20 more minutes, and then I'm gonna.
So we got back to it. We were together for maybe 6 months.
So you're together for 6 months.
6.5 months.
This is the golden question. She's taking a deep breath before I even say anything.
Yeah, because this is a heavy story. I don't know.
We're gonna go into the story another time. I think we'll make it. I think because like it's towards the end of the show, and then I'd rather talk about this specifically about a breakup, all in the details of the story. But to get some clarification, you broke up 6 months later after getting back together. Was it because it was the same issues that you were to get the same issues that were happening that you broke up before? Do you understand what I mean by that? Maybe. Like you broke up for some reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like you moved to Paris
Yes.
knowing that you kind of had to break up
Yeah,
or be
yeah,
apart.
definitely.
And so when you got back together 2 years later, did you feel like those same things resurfaced?
Yes.
This is why when people come to me and they go, "Oh my God, I just want to get my ex back. Oh my God, they called me." I'm like, yeah, but it's not over because whatever problems were there,
Mhm.
character wise, habit wise,
Mhm.
outlook wise, they can go by the length side when you get some intimacy and have good sex or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And then you're happy to see each other. But if you're back together and there's some
Mhm.
things about that person that you really don't like,
Mhm.
I think they'll resurface quicker and you'll have lower patience.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah,
true?
you're like, oh, I don't want.
You're
that.
like, oh, I was wrong.
Mhm.
You're still like that.
Yeah, and you're like, oh fuck.
So you know what I mean? It's like, so whenever someone's like, oh, I want to get back with my ex, I'm like, if you were the problem or they were the problem or whatever, and that's the thing about long distance relationships. Sometimes it's just the distance.
Mhm.
Like if it's just the distance, well, then someone has to move.
Mhm.
But if it's deeper, like someone has a drug habit, someone's always broke, someone, like these are things that, well, you should stick with your partner through that. No, it gets old because people need to take responsibility. And if you are feeling like you're getting taken down or feeling, I call it like I've used this phrase recently, like you hang out with a friend and you have a friend hangover. Like after you hang out with them, you're exhausted or you don't feel good or you're like negative. Like be cognizant of that. You have that with your partner sometimes, and you're just like, God, even though we still sleep together or we're attracted to each other and I like them, like sometimes I just don't want to hang out with them. Or like now that they mentioned something that used to not bother me, now it bothers me a lot. And so is that what happened basically?
Yeah, there were some
things that came back up
that repeated themselves that I didn't like.
And you had less patience this time.
Oh, I had much less patience.
Oh God, that was like, and it still wasn't easy to probably break up after those 5 or 6 months.
It was tough. It was tough.
Okay. So we went down a rabbit hole with that. We're going to go into that maybe a little deeper in another, because I think I'm at an hour 36 here. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Time's gone by quick.
But some guys are conditioned by standards which are not their wrongdoing. Begging for most that don't understand is a natural reaction. I think it goes back to childhood. There's individuals I know that are still brats when they don't get what they want, and that probably has to do with the way you were treated when you were young. Like
I think so.
Like myself, I wasn't neglected. My dad was a hard worker. We had a decent house. We didn't live in a bad neighborhood. I was by no means rich, but like if you went to the grocery store, you went somewhere and like you begged for a toy. I realized that very young that was like off the table. Like you don't just get what you want. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that I've noticed that people that are like that, and they're not always, to be fair, they're not always people that were born rich. Their parents just had no boundaries and they spoiled the kid, or they just didn't want to like deal with like disappointing or having, and have you ever witnessed that with friends? And I'm like, you need to say no to, like, your kid's acting like a little fucking brat right now, and you're going to reward them. There's a lot of people that do that, huh?
Yeah, parents don't want to deal with whining, crying kids. They just want to shut their kid up.
Yeah. It's like my nephew who lived with me when he was about, Ray was about 5 to like 7 or 8 years old. So I used to take him like to games and different things and stuff like that. We were really close. And I remember like he brought it up recently. I used to get Giants tickets for baseball all the time for my work. And like we'd get good seats, right? Like to me, when I used to go to Giants games when I was younger, we were in the upper deck and like had bad seats and shit. My dad didn't fucking like sports that much.
Nosebleed seats.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it was just like, my dad's not going to pay expensive price. So I would get these seats and I was like, fuck, these are great. My nephew would be like, oh, I'd rather sit in the seats where you can get a home run. I'm like, dude, we're 20 rows behind home plate. You know what I mean? It's like, these are money ass, right? You just had no appreciation. And then it'd be like every fucking thing that went by, I'd be like, oh, I want that. I'd be like, no. And then you go to the souvenir rack. I want that. No. And he was like, why didn't you take me to more games? I was like, because I'm not going to tell you after I spent, $60 or $70 and you want a fucking Giants baseball that's $18 or you want this. It's like, I'll buy you dinner. Like, you need to learn that that's not okay. That's not how you act. And he like, now that he's older, he's like, I know what you mean. It's like, because when he was younger, my sister would give him what he wanted a lot of time, because he was a little baby boy, and he's a cute kid and stuff like that. And he's, moms like to do that. So he'd go out with Uncle Mac, and it'd be like, okay, like, and I'd be like, no. And he'd be like, okay, fine. But I think it's good. But I'm going back to people that are needy. I think that starts when you're young. I think that
there could be
it's a way of getting what you want. And then you're like, oh, that usually works. No, it doesn't work with all people. Yeah. Some people are like, you're not a little kid anymore.
Yeah.
Some guy, okay. Seeking pity is the most unattractive thing you can do. I think you said you'd agree with that. No woman is worth begging, none whatsoever. Beats your self-respect. Find someone more worthy. What I would say to that, if you do beg and plead and you do have a low moment, it's okay. It's very human to do it for a day, 2 days, maybe even a week. I've never been that kind of person, but if you've done it, just make sure when you do stop, you stop. Like, you don't need another email. You don't need another story. You don't need another. I needed more clarity. It's like when people send me their story, I'm like, yeah, right here was your clarity when she said she's not into having a long-term relationship right now. It's like, she wrote that to you. Yeah, but I'm not. I don't think she was telling the truth. Okay, why?
You're just playing your own story in your head. You're really not listening to what she's saying, I guess.
Laugh out loud. Not true, Dark Might. I've always been a decent amount of girls available, but I got tired of just looks. She had looks and the personality. Fucking sexy girls isn't the same as sex with someone you love. Yes, you're right, Mac. Thank you. I always like to hear that. Yeah, I've overcompensated. David Jefters, after how long? I think you were asking about this story, which we talked about. Yeah, I overcompensated because of the distance. Basically, her idea of who I was a strong, old school gentleman guy. Well, you give yourself some nice compliments. Good for you. And the begging shattered her idea of the kind of man I was. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a huge learning experience for you. Is normal for an ex to join a dating app? Alvin Ray, how you doing, bud? Is it normal for an ex to join a dating app after just 3 weeks of breaking up?
I mean, why not? It depends on her.
She said, why not? See the female perspective?
No, I mean,
I can't believe it.
I'm not saying I would do that, but that particular person.
Alvin, it depends on your situation and the individual. You know her better than I do. Saying that, it could be because she's lonely. It could be because she misses you. It could be a lot of different things. Saying that whether it's normal or not, I wouldn't say it's unnormal. I wouldn't say it's completely out of character for a woman or any human being out of a relationship. I myself wouldn't do it. I don't know if Jessica would do it 3 weeks after. She's shaking her head no.
I wouldn't. No.
I mean, and you got to keep in mind, like some people, I've been in 4 serious relationships where I would say, like, that's my girlfriend. Like, to me, claiming someone as my girlfriend is a big deal. I mean, I know we have marriage and all that stuff, but like, you're a representation of, like, I'm introducing to my friends and family as someone like I'm proud to be with, right? It's a step. So what I've noticed though is that, like, like if you're in a 6 month or a 1 year, my heart goes out to you. You can have a heartbreak and stuff like that. You're still learning that person. So like someone pivoting out, time counts.
Yes.
Living together counts.
Sure.
Passion and intimacy and getting along for 6 months, you're still going to be able to overcome that relationship quicker than 2, 3, 4 years. Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
The length of time counts. So if Alvin Ray, I would ask that. The other part is, how long has someone been checked out? So like a lot of times when I've dealt with people that have been married 10, 15, 20 years, they're like, oh, they'll be talking about a breakup in a new relationship. And I'm like, well, what about when you divorced your wife of 15 years? Like, oh, that we were done 2 years ago. Like they just got up to here.
Yeah.
So they actually like it was like a slow burn of a breakup. And so the slow burn actually made it easier for some of them to both accept it. And so someone like that can easily start dating right away because they were like, And by the way, some of these people in these relationships haven't had intimacy in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's so many variables to that, Alvin Ray. But to say it's normal, yeah, depends on the circumstances. The idea that you know she's on a dating app isn't healthy.
Right.
So I know that people go, "Oh, I saw her on Tinder." Well, what were you doing?
Right.
It happens all the time.
So I guess you're both in the same.
Yeah. Like, how did you know? Because you were on the dating app, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a friend told you. But one of the worst I ever heard that I felt for the guy is he found his ex on a dating app, and they had a big age gap. I think he was like in his mid-30s, and she was like early 20s, like 22. But they had like a great relationship. And the dude was a good guy, man. He was a good guy. He had his own small business. And I mean, when I do live coaching sessions, most of the people I deal with, I do have a liking to them because we have some kind of rapport because you've already seen my videos and whatnot. And so you kind of know who you're dealing with. But he was a good dude. He was a good guy. And it seemed like they had a really good relationship. It seemed like whenever you have that age gap, that kind of creeps into the relationship of the maturity of things always. And so he went on Tinder and she was on Tinder. And I think she wrote something like, "I'm looking for a new daddy." And she wrote some seductive things on there, and that was like, I'm done. Yeah. He wrote me an email like after the coaching. Is like after seeing that, and I'm like, but you were on Tinder too, right? Yeah. So you were obviously.
Yeah, but I mean,
but like to come across your partner, like.
I mean, then that's
like
obviously
like not just being on Tinder, but like, yeah, I'm looking for a new daddy. It's like, oh, that's like when he wrote that to me, I'm like, that's tough, bro. Yeah. That's tough. But I said, you know what I say? That's clarity. If that's who you are in situations like this, I don't think I want to be back with you, even though it hurts. Everyone's always like, I need more clarity. That's pretty crystal. Yeah. I appreciate you, Mac. You're severely underrated, man. Well, I appreciate the compliment. Like the stream, folks. Good stuff, Mac and Jessica. Thanks, Scotty. Scott's in Austin, Texas. There's a lot of people moving there right now.
Really?
Yeah. Joe Rogan, all these Tim Ferriss, a lot of people from California. A lot of it's from taxes, but it's becoming a really popular place. Actually matched with a friend. She said she was just curious and bored. Question: had she ever dated someone with subtle or obvious red flags, yet ignored them and attempted to fix him? This is a question for you.
To be honest, I've only had one serious relationship, and it's the one that we've spoken about previously. And I think that you saw red flags in the beginning? There were red flags in the beginning, and it had to do with communication. But that was also cultural because his first language wasn't English, and he was from Thailand. So I saw some red flags in our communication that were swept under the rug that I didn't address, but that I felt uneasy about at the time. And then that later would cause some big problems in our relationship.
So this is the relationship that was the long one.
Yeah. But I don't know that I tried to fix him. I just think that there were red flags. But at the time I felt uneasy about it, but I didn't identify it as a red flag. I just was like, okay, well, we'll deal with this later. What
would be an example of one of the red flags if you want to share that, if it's too personal?
Just lack of communication. In the middle of a problem, like we wouldn't necessarily resolve it. I can just remember like his English was very well. Like we could speak like this. But there were some times where there would be a problem and then we wouldn't fully resolve the problem. And then it would just kind of be hanging in the air.
What was the common problem?
Later, it was communicating about just like daily life, things that would happen in our.
She's being broad. She doesn't want to share. That's okay.
Yeah. It was mostly just communicating about how you felt about something.
Did you want him to be more vulnerable?
Yeah, he wasn't very vulnerable. He could be sometimes, but it was rare. But yeah, I didn't try to change.
What was the biggest red flag?
I didn't try to change anything. I think it was his lack of communication, which was kind of secretive.
So you took that as you're fucking around.
Yes.
Okay, so that you could have just said that.
Well, I don't know. I'm not.
See how a woman communicates? Like, does anyone agree with that? It's like you could just say, "Yeah, I thought he was fucking around," and not being clear about it. And you're like, "Well,
But
he had a lack of communication. It was cultural. It was, it was like no, you thought he was with someone else, and he wasn't explaining why he came home late."
No, I just think that I'm not very good at talking about it. Like, I feel like I haven't really spoken about.
Everyone's going like, yeah, Mac. Does anyone else think that? Like, did I catch that right? See, like, instead of like being like, yeah, I thought he was maybe messing around with some other women and not coming clean, and then you're like, well, we had bad communication. You know how many different things bad communication.
I know, but
at the core of it, you thought he was fucking around sometimes.
Later on, yes. Yeah.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Mm-hmm. All right, no, just few exchanges. Do you think you falsely accused him of fucking around?
I could have,
but you never caught him.
In that time I didn't. In the beginning.
So how did you go about doing? How did you go about searching for evidence? Just his phone, or just asking direct questions?
I did look at his phone before.
That's a bad position to be in a
relationship. It is.
To me, anytime you have to like check your partner's phone, even if you want to, and I've done it in one relationship towards the end, and I was like, God, and then you do find something. You're validated in doing it, but you're like, this is not even who I am. I would never check your phone before.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
I kind of wanted her to see me on Snapchat so she could see that I'm back to being a strong guy I was before I started begging and shit. Well, go ahead and do that. But if you don't get that reaction, where are you going to be? I was laid back guy when we met, military, and had lots of hobbies. So see me basically turn into a clingy person was a complete 180. Well, I would say going on Snapchat and trying to get her attention would be clingy. So if you want to go all in on being an alpha military guy with strength and women around him, then you would just shed this snakeskin idea of if she sees me on Snapchat, because then if you're thinking about social media and thinking in regards to like, I want to impress this individual, I think you're not going to be real. Everyone makes mistakes, just don't make the same mistake twice, and then you'll demonstrate you're a man for learning world. Bottom line, Jay Smitty, too, and I think Jessica would agree. If a woman wants to come back, right, she's not going to want to come back because you had a cool picture on the beach and you look buff. I mean, maybe there's some, I think that might be the case if you're like 20, 21, maybe. I do think that there is something for women seeing their ex with other women that does amp up.
Maybe.
It's big. We might have to talk about that in another live stream because that's a whole nother thing to unpack that. But creating it falsely, no. But like authentically having other women interested you makes women more attracted to you. Absolutely.
Oh, you mean women in general?
Yeah, I'm saying that if you're gonna be on, so if you're gonna go on Facebook or one of these things and you break up with your ex and you're just trying to look quote unquote cool,
right, or
you're having fun, or you're just I learned piano, I'm fucking so cool, whatever. If you get caught on Facebook and you're with a cute chick at a fucking restaurant or something like that, that a lot of women, that would get their attention. You're playing with my toy. You're like, that's my guy. That would get guys' attention. Like, that sparks something in the human brain. When you do it intentionally to fuck with your partner, it can backfire. Because if you're going to do that, make sure it's true. That's my point. Like, make sure you're really having a good time with someone.
Yeah. Yeah, like be authentic.
That's what I mean. Like if you're trying, then it's not going to work the same. Dark Knight said, Jessa, would you take back someone that cheated on you? Would you expect someone to take you if you cheated? So first question, Jessica, would you take back someone that cheated on you?
I've never done that before, so I would have to say, I guess I would probably lead towards no, but I've never been in that situation before.
Depends on the situation. Yeah. I think with cheating, it's different. I think that I've said this before. The difference in cheating is it habitual? Is it a part of
Yeah,
someone's
what kind?
character, or is it a mistake? And someone got really pissed at me one time. They're like, cheating can never be a mistake. I'm like, well, if someone gets really drunk or if someone does these things, it doesn't mean they're not responsible or accountable or need to say sorry or apologize or explain themselves. But it can be out of character, and where you can go like, okay, we've been together 3 years. I don't think you did that on purpose. And I do think you made a mistake and you were honest about it. I think that if you were going to be understanding, it would be in that situation.
Sure,
would you agree?
Sure. I agree with that.
If it's someone that you're like, I know you've been fucking around.
Yeah.
It's hard. I just haven't.
The spectrum of cheating is so broad, you know?
Well, doing this work with coaching, there's so many people that are like, it's just black and white. And I'm like, dude,
I don't think
there's so much more of it done than you even know.
I'm not a black and white.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Would you expect someone to take you if you cheated? Take you back?
I mean, again, I think it depends. I think it depends on what the circumstance was, what really happened.
I agree. I'm the same way. That's why I always come back to like, what's your story?
Yeah.
I don't think it's cut and dry. There's a lot of people out there. Oh no, they cheated. They're done.
Yeah.
Or, oh no, like I personally think there's something to the story, and then you can decide within the individual case what you want to believe or what you don't want to believe and what you find acceptable. David Jeffer says, Mac, humor me. What's her take on her partner having exes on social media? Is it a deal breaker? Okay. So just to give you some background, because me and David did a live coaching, and basically what happened with him, he had a girlfriend. She basically, what I call kneecap theory or gun to the head, said you cannot have your ex-girlfriend as a Facebook friend who he's cordial with, who he openly said, this is my friend. He's like, I don't have feelings for her anymore. She's like, no, you need to delete that friend.
I'm not on board with that at all. I would say that I don't like that women approach guys in that sense.
Yeah.
Saying that you can't have your
It's a lack of trust. And like I said, anytime someone goes gun to the head or kneecaps means like you go, it's just low. It's just like you're telling someone you have to do something.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay, so you got someone there on your side, David. And David actually stayed strong for a while, and then he deleted the girl.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and then it creates resentment because you're like, I shouldn't have done that. There's no reason. Like, she's my ex-girlfriend. I don't fuck around with her. I don't have those intentions. And so, all right. So understand why she was so turned off by my blowing up her phone and shit, and just want to talk to her. Think if she came back, she's coming back to that. Direct women all day long. Scott likes direct women, can't read minds. There were red flags too on mine. Started reading on NPD. I don't know what NPD is. And 70% of the sign matches the NPD behavior. What's NPD? I don't know what that is. There's a lot of this, Jessica, where people go online and they suddenly, I'm not saying this about you, Alvin Ray, but like, oh, my ex is bipolar. It's like, okay. How do you know? Well, I looked online and they line up with being bipolar, or my ex is avoiding attachment, or my ex is this. And it's like, I don't think it serves people.
Right. So they're diagnosing their ex.
Yeah. Negatively, surprisingly, like the number one thing is narcissism, right? Like my ex was a narcissist. Like you probably, I don't know your ex at all, Jessica, but you could probably be like, he had some narcissistic tendencies.
Sure.
Which just means you're highly selfish in a lot of ways, right? Which actually a lot of people are. A lot of people are. And so Roller Girl just chimed in, narcissistic personality disorder. So he's saying that she lines up with 70% of that. My thing about this always is, if it's your ex, be thankful you're done with them if you think they're narcissistic. Do you agree? I mean, number two, your ex is kind of a reflection of you. So like if I start dating someone and they go out of their way to like shit talk their ex, like it sounds like you didn't have a great experience. You broke up twice with your ex, but I've known you for a long time and you don't bag on the guy. No. Like you don't go around like, and you probably could.
Yeah. I could say something.
No, but I'm saying like to me, my exes, and like only one ex was like, I left with a bitter taste at the moment, at the time. And I had some thoughts that maybe some things were going on, but I didn't know. And I was bitter. I was upset. I was hurt. I was angry at times. But like even now, I never bad talk. I'm like, what? There were some bad things that happened. But I feel like when you go out of your way and you have an ex and you start going, oh, they're a narcissist or this, and you still have feelings for them, it's like, what does it say about you? Kind of. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
you still, like I said, your partners are your relationships are a reflection of you, and so the idea that you are somehow a victim in a narcissistic relationship means that you're saying like you had no power. When the reality is now that if you broke free from that, then you shouldn't be going around going, yeah, they're a narcissist. Yeah, they're a narcissist. I don't think it, you know what I mean? You wouldn't do that about a family member.
Well, some people might, but no, I mean, yeah.
Right? You don't go out of your way to throw dirty laundry out about them. If you're close with someone and you're unpacking it, but going around and putting this negative label on someone that's technically medical, so it's like, yeah, they're kind of, they're this. You come across it again and again, and a lot of these websites and different things and info, it's just like the amount of people, like if you start getting like redness on your skin, you could look that up and you could have fucking 100 diseases, right? So the same thing when you start looking up things about your partner, and I would just say steer away from that, because it's not really going to serve you to point out to your friends and family how shitty your ex was. Yeah. Right? Now, if they did you wrong, you have a right to do a coaching session with myself or someone else and just get it all out and go all through it. 3-4 months down the line, you're diagnosing like, look, they were narcissistic. It's like, be thankful you're not with them anymore. And then those kinds of characteristics for the next partner. Yeah. Is that true? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jessica's starting to get tired of talking here. So, or the guy posts examples of the new girl on Instagram. Let me see. I missed what you wrote here. It's big if the girl is on a higher scale than the ex-girlfriend. Oh, he's saying that I have heard this from women, Jessica, that lay it on me. I have heard, even I've been with girlfriends before, and they go, well, if you ever did cheat or if you ever did hook up with someone else, she better be better looking than me. Have you ever? Does that sound? That's not. I've never had that conversation with any of my girlfriends before. But like, okay, here's an interesting rabbit hole. If you do have an ex, she needs to be better looking than. Okay, so you have an ex, right? Yes. And he's hooked up with other people. Well, you know them. I know one. And you're like. What? Did you immediately this is a really good question at 2 hours with 19 on deck and 6 likes. This is interesting because I've heard this come up before. You're done with your ex, you have problems, you obviously still have feelings for your ex. Most people do. Like, you don't just break up with someone. Like, people always ask me this, whatever happens, if you were with someone 3.5, 4 years, you still have feelings for them. I care about them. Yeah. Yeah. And you still have like something attached to them. It's just normal. Okay. So they end up with someone new. You immediately judge that new person deep down. And you have your judgments. And do you think you judge that person against you? Yes. You compare. So if he downgrades, do you lose respect from him? So like the current women that he went with, you think you're better, right? You've conveyed this before. Yes, there are parts of that was a good feeling. Because there are things that I see in how she in her choices in her life that I think that I judge and think that she could do better. Are you better? Not with him, but in how she chooses to live her life. Do you feel like you're better looking? Yes. Good for you. And does it feel good? Or do you? Let me ask you this on the flip side. Does he lose points downgrading in your eyes? He lost points in my eyes. Ooh, that was fuck. If the camera could be on her right now, that was that was on the stand, so fucking serious and decisive. Yeah. He lost points in my eyes. Yes. He lost those. That was fucking outstanding. I wish I had a camera on your face because you're like, yes, he did lose points on that one. So let's say he did pivot out and you're like, wow, she's an attractive woman. She's got a lot going for her. It's not necessarily you'd be happy for him, but you'd be like, okay, I can understand why. Yeah, I guess I would have some. So he lost value by
Understanding there.
like you're like, yeah, no, and you're not gonna go back because you're like, yeah, you've been going through the trash bins.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not going back there.
So
Whether he dated an attractive woman or not,
I know,
woman, I'm not
but
going back there.
Rob IS, who's actually Rob, you're from Toronto, I think, or outside of Toronto. He said like it's big if the girl is on a higher scale than the ex-girlfriend. So we're talking about like if someone sees you in social media and
they've stepped up.
Yeah.
They're,
like you look at the social media and you're like, oh, she's pretty.
Like, wow.
Where'd he meet her?
Right.
Rather than
yeah.
Right. So that was my point. And when I went through those questions with you when I was like, he downgraded, you're like, yeah, he did. Like you were so fucking serious. That was like the most serious moment. Like, yeah, we're not getting back together after he was rummaging around like a hyena with woundeds on the savannah, right?
I'm just trying to live my life more compassionately. That's all.
It's fine. Just be honest. I don't think that's low. That's an opinion. You should be able to feel like, oh yeah, no, I feel like I look better. That's not conceited or arrogant. That's just your personal opinion, which is healthy. The girls look as good or better than her, but as I said, I just don't post them because I want her to know there's still a chance. That's a bad position to be in. That you're hoping, wishing for someone to come. Yeah, because if you do meet up with her, you're going to immediately overcompensate and be weak around her because you're not in a shape to deal with that. When she goes on a date, does she think it's attractive if the guy does 3 mini dates in one day?
What?
As Corey Wayne puts it, a guy planning the day, or would she just enjoy a dinner, for example? Great questions, David. Great questions.
What 3 mini dates in a day?
So this is Corey Wayne, is another coach,
Corey
which I've told you about before.
Know this guy.
Yeah. So he's saying that to plan a day.
Plan your day.
And I don't know what a mini date would be, but I'm just assuming like, oh, you get coffee and then you go down to the wharf and you fucking take pictures with seals. I don't know.
Right. And then you meet someone another few hours later.
And then Corey Wayne's always like, have fun, hook up. And then Corey Wayne would be like, and then you come back to my house and have a bottle of wine. He always does that, right, David? Like, come back to my house, crack a bottle of champagne. Has some
with which girl? The girl on the third date, or
no? I think what he's saying, David, and I'm not exactly sure, but like mini dates would be like we go out for coffee, then we go fishing on the wharf.
Oh, with one same girl.
Yeah, like you make a day. You make a day.
Oh, okay.
You make an interesting day of it rather than just dinner.
And then come back to crack a bottle of champagne or wine. And how?
And he's saying in lieu of just like let's get dinner.
Right. Well, a fun and interesting outing is always good. I mean, if you've got the time, if you've got the resources to really throw out a big day, and I mean, then if you guys have a great time together doing all those things, it is more likely that she's going to come over and crack a bottle.
Do you know what I'm talking about, David? Doesn't he say that a lot? He always goes, and then have a bottle of wine at my house or a bottle of champagne. Come back to my house. I think I don't think I've ever done the mini date thing as a plan, but I think I've done it as not a plan. But I certainly would say it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think if you're creative and you're doing things that you think someone would be interested in.
Yeah.
Right. Like you always want to be cognizant of if someone hates nature, then don't take them on a hike. Right. Like I'm not saying I would that's something I really like to do, but you don't want to force someone that's scared of snakes and spiders and you're in the jungle.
Yeah.
So I would say the mini date thing's a good idea as long as you're constructing it in a way that's creative and something that you like to do. I'm sure it's better than just going on dinner. I would actually say though that it might be better for that to be the second date.
Yeah. I think
would you agree? Because I do think if you did it the first date, it could be overkill.
And you just
the girl's like, I don't even know if I think you're attractive, and you're fucking taking me on a stagecoach with horses down the street or something.
Yeah, it depends how much you've chatted online. Have you had a video chat? Like, where are you at?
Lou Boo 1K, welcome. I've never seen you on the live stream before. My ex said that he has a boyfriend. My ex said he has a boyfriend. Okay. Then he blocked me, unblocked me. Then he said he's dying and his kidneys failing. Then he said he has a boyfriend, but he showed no proof, and he still has our pictures on social media. He kicked me out of Ohio, and I had to drive back home, 8-hour drive. What should I do that he blocked me from social media? I would say run, don't walk from the situation.
It sounds very
yeah, it
confusing.
sounds like you are entangled in a situation where you somehow feel like you don't have a lot of power, and you're blaming this individual when the
What's the
question you need to come back to is, where's my power? Like, if this person's feeding you lies, or they're giving you bad information, or they're pushing you out of an entire state, why are you interacting with them? Why are you allowing them to do this? My ex told my friend that I'm nothing without him. Then he blocks me. Jessica has no response to that. She just went silent.
Can you say that again, please?
My ex told me that I'm nothing without him. My ex told my friend that I'm nothing without him. Then he blocks me.
So
what would you do, Jessica? Would you search this person out?
I mean, if somebody blocked me, then I would let it be. I've been blocked. So okay, time to let the dust settle, and I'm not going to investigate. I might feel a little bit hurt. I might feel a little upset if I don't really understand. But
okay. She's perplexed right now. She's like, who would ever deal with someone like this? Like, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had someone be this hurtful or negative to you?
No.
Jessica grew up on lobster. She's had a good life.
I grew up, yeah.
Pretty good.
Rainbows and ponies.
Yeah. Big different dynamic when the comparison of a new girl is made by the ex-girlfriend. If it happens all the time, laugh out loud. Me too, Jessica. I don't know what that's in regards to. If that ever happens to me, whether the new girl is a higher scale or lower scale will have a different impact psychologically on the girlfriend. I think we confirmed that with what we just talked about. It will, because you're so chill and laid back and joking and this and that. When I'm like, so did he lose points for the new girl? And she was like, yeah, he did lose points for that. Like, it was so deep and dark.
It was the truth.
Yeah. No, but like, I've had girlfriends before. Like, if you did, like, she better be better looking than me. And someone would be like, oh, that's sick. But I've heard it from, like, you do care. I suppose guys care on a certain level.
I had never thought about it, honestly. Really, like, I've never analyzed it. Like, where we're at.
You know the bottle of wine, David, what I'm talking about, too. He said, yes, haha, the bottle. Just bring her over for a bottle of wine. Some strawberries in the fridge, champagne. It's always like, people will be like, do you like Corey Wayne? I like Corey Wayne. I think he's cool. I like his approach. Some of the things like that, it's a little bit cheesy, but you know what? That's fine. I think it's funny. Like, everyone has their own thing. And Corey Wayne always goes, you want to be like James Bond as a man. He always compares being like James Bond, which is obviously someone he really likes or something like that. And so it's like that's one where I'm like, I can't identify acting like James Bond. I know what he means by the association. Crack a bottle of wine. Yeah. As long as the date is fun, it doesn't really matter what you do. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that, like I said, you probably have to take into account the character of the individual you're with. But at the same time, I always preach, go on bad dates. If it doesn't work out, then it's just clarity, and you guys don't have to go out again. And you can find a way to end a date these days. Without you watch movies and TV shows, and there's always like a friend that calls. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where they're like, oh yeah, just call me. Yeah. Like on the Friends show or one of these or something. It's like, you could just basically be like, you know what? I think if you do, I haven't done Tinder or these kinds of things. I think you could do, like, these days you could be like, you know what? I got to go home.
Yeah.
And you could make up a bullshit reason. And the other person's like, really, your fucking toilet's overflowing. It's like, do you want me to tell you that I don't like you? Or like, that's when a white lie's harmless, you know, when you're like, okay, like something happened. Cause I've had people like, oh yeah, she told me that like her cat needed to go to the emergency. Do you think she was telling the truth? I'm like, well, could be. Yeah. But if not, she was trying to be nice. That she doesn't like you. He sounds like a drama queen. He's bipolar. Okay, you know, like, when you get into these things, when people are bipolar, they're schizo, they're all these things. It's like, so this is what I tell people. If you've never, number one, if you've never encountered that with family and friends, you don't know fuck all about it. You've never had it before.
Mhm.
So you're not going to really be able to understand the person. You can try,
Mm.
but you're not, right? Like I have, like with people with depression, I've had people get a little upset before, but I'm like, I think most people identify with depression too much. Not all. I know there's clinical depression. I know that, like there's all these other things, but like, I remember the one time in my life where I was probably depressed and I just wouldn't accept it.
Mm.
I was depressed. I was sad, but I was looking for answers and solutions and ways to like fucking beat this fucking thing. Cause I never wanted to go, oh, I'm depressed. I didn't want to say those words.
Mm.
And someone would be like, oh, you're in denial. No, it's actually like, no, I don't want to identify with that. The minute you have someone that's like, for 10 years, I've been massively depressed. Well, how's that working for you?
Mm.
Like, do you believe you can overcome it? It's a good question, right? Because I do think you can.
Of course you can overcome it,
but then people
some
go,
people
like, you don't know
help,
where I'm coming from or this or that. I don't.
Mm.
So if I was in a relationship with someone that was massively depressed, it wouldn't be that I was insensitive. I don't know how to help you with that.
Mm.
I got through a period of my life of being depressed. So I would tell you to exercise. I would tell you to do hypnotherapy. I would tell you to do the tapping method. And if you were like, well, you just don't understand, none of that shit works. And I'll be like, okay.
Mm.
Like, why would we have a relationship then? Now that person's going to somehow bleed into your life. You're going to be more depressed. That's just how human beings are. So if I were you, Lubu 1K, which is a very interesting name, by the way, I would definitely move forward and not look back. And the fact that you're really concerned about what they think of you, what they did to you, and it's all negative, it's like, move the fuck out of Ohio. It might be good for you.
Yeah. Get some space.
Yeah. Lies. Some people enjoy hurting people. I would laugh and move on to Lou. When you need to make a decision that you are unsure of, ask yourself, what would James Bond do? This is what Corey Wayne always says as a man. I would say a lot of times in breakups and relationships, I always tell people to ask, where's your power in the situation? Because a lot of people are in the victim mode. Like, I can't do anything. Jessica, this question specifically for Jessica. Oh God. Jessica's like this right now. Like, oh God, another one. She's going to start her own show from this. After 2 weeks of no contact, reached out to my ex and she was upset because I opened up to her friend because she ghosted me before the breakup happened. She told me it's unfair. Did I make a big mistake by opening up to her friend?
Well, she wanted space. So your ex, I guess she ghosted you and she obviously didn't want any contact from you. So going to her best friend is kind of an extension of her because the best friend is going to go back to her. So
I agree.
It's the same as reaching out to her indirectly. Like, that what you're saying, you're still getting in contact with her when she's telling you she doesn't want to be contacted. So it's like, sort of in a way, it's like you just need to be patient and wait for her to come back.
And it's weak.
Yeah.
I feel like it's weak. It's a weak move.
Yeah.
And me personally, I know people do this all the time. And I've talked to women that are the friend.
Mm.
So let me just take this from a different angle. A friend of mine that's a female, she was telling me this story about this guy that came to her that's her best friend's husband, actually, and like unleashed all this different things about his personal life and stuff like that. The friend doesn't think like, oh, they're like, why are you fucking telling me all this shit? In most cases, unless the friend's attracted to you, which would be twisted,
right?
But possible. In most cases, and this applies to family members too, because a lot of people go and air shit to family members. The friend or family is going to come first. They're going to go and tell that person immediately after.
Yeah.
what you said and what you did. And if the person's remotely negative, they're going to make you look negative.
Mhm.
If they like you, they might paint some positive strokes. But here's the thing, folks. If she made a choice to break up with you, let's say she broke up with you because you lost your job and you're broke all the time. I'm just giving a random fucking example, but it's clear. And you're like, oh my God, I'm getting a new job, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. And then you go to her friend and you're like, well, tell Karen that fucking, I'm getting a new job, like, and I'm doing the best I can. I lost my job because of COVID, all this other. Karen will listen to you and be nice. And let's just say Karen takes your side and is like, oh, fucking Alvin's doing the best he can, da, da, da. The ex-girlfriend will resent the fact that you went to her friend and turned her friend against you.
Mm.
It'll even be worse.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because, like, I made a decision.
It
I wanted to break up with you, and now you got your friend fucking coming at me with fucking pity parade.
Yeah.
So it's just all bad. I just don't see it working, and it's a desperate move, I think. And I think somehow, some way, because this comes up a lot. You think, oh, me and the friend are really cool. She likes me.
Hmm.
People tell me all the time, her parents love me. Well, once you break up, like your parents, even if you're the shithead, they're gonna stay with their kin.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not gonna be like, oh, I love Jessica so much. They might try, but then eventually, like, they're not gonna hide information. So it's just a bad move all around, I think. So we're in definite no contact now. Be honest and say there isn't a love connection. I've been with him for 1 year and a half. 1 year and a half is not a very long time, but here's what I would say. If you're together for 1.5 years and you have major drama and major problems, be done.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, in a year and a half, it should be rose petals and wine glasses. It should be really good. Yeah. I think the 2-year window for the honeymoon phase, as we like to call it, you should be having a pretty good relationship. Things get more difficult when you get to 3, 4, 5 years, when you have bills. If you're thinking about kids, if you're thinking about getting married, you live together. It just gets more convoluted. There's more experiences that you have. But like 1.5 years, you have major problems.
This is the blocking, unblocking.
Yeah. Hug therapy for depression. Okay.
Human touch. Laugh out loud.
You're underrated, bro. Thanks, buddy. There was, but this bipolar acted and he kicked me out and accused me of being controlling, but I did everything for my ex and kicked me out. Where's your fucking power? Instead of having someone kick you out, walk out.
Right.
You're being a victim. Now you might be thinking, oh, you're not being sensitive enough. No, I'm being fucking honest. A lot of times as human beings, myself included, you complain, you bitch. People do this at jobs all the time. Oh, I hate my boss. I hate my salary. I've been there before in my life too. So where's your power? Get a new job. Oh, I can't get a new job. No, you won't. There's a difference, right? Sorry, I got to take this. Oh God, David's got some good. David's been since the beginning. We're at 2 hours 22 minutes. Are you okay?
I gotta go to the bathroom.
She's got to go to the bathroom. Okay, there's toilet paper in there. Don't worry. This is good, huh? We're gonna start doing these regularly. We got 12 on deck, 6 likes. Jessica, have you ever regretted leaving a guy after dating around and comparing them to your ex? I'll get to that when she comes back. Luke Boo is a Japanese name, by the way. Okay, good for you, Lu Boo. I'm really serious though. You get caught up in what someone did to you, how they did you wrong. The reality is your power is to walk away, not look back. Your reality is you don't have to accept that behavior. Okay, David, I'll ask her for you, bud. Yeah, actually what she felt, I believe her friend sided with me, as she also aware that my ex has issues. I mean, if you're just venting and you're close to that person, fine. I don't think it's in your favor of getting back together. And like I said, even if the friend sides with you, and Jessica agreed with me because she was nodding her head, you guys couldn't see, but Even if the friend agrees with you, okay? You're on tequila tonight. Good for you, dude. Even if the friend agrees with you, you're still gonna get pushback from your ex because then her friend's going against her. It's not a positive. David, I'll come back to your questions and Jay Smitty when Jessica comes back from her potty break. Her thinking. Okay. Sorry, guys. I got to send this. Feel better?
Yes.
Wow. You were like, is that why your feet were like this, dangling like a little kid? Brandon Sosa. Salsa? Got some new people on deck. All right. So David Jeffers, who's in New York today, he's got a few questions for you. And he said he's been drinking tequila, sorry to say.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's nighttime there, right?
Yeah. Everyone's late night.
Right.
Right now, it's 1 p.m. for us, folks. What kind of tequila, David, by the way? I'm just curious. What's her ideal pickup line for dating apps? Do you even have one?
I don't have one. I don't have an ideal pickup line. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a pickup liner. Let's just like have some,
if anything, that would be a turnoff. If you
like
can
what's
identify,
like a pickup line, like I don't know. Give me an example.
Did it hurt?
I'm not into those kinds.
Did
of
it hurt?
lines, yeah.
When you fell from the heavens?
Yeah, no, none of that. None of that. I don't know.
Actually,
it can work if it's funny.
If it's funny, if it comes off not serious.
Yeah, if it's not serious and you're both laughing about it, it can be funny.
Yeah.
I haven't had.
So she just doesn't have one. And does she think that there's a difference between thinking based on ages 20 to 30? So he was saying, like, he clarified this, you as an individual, like you're thinking, you're 31 now. From when you were 20, is it like night and day or?
Yes, I would have to say there's a lot of differences there. For sure. Thinking when I think that goes for any age, in your 20s, you're thinking, yes, your thinking is different than compared to when you are 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, as you grow older, you just grow hopefully wiser.
That's a boring answer.
Well, it's true. I mean, when you're 21, you're obviously not thinking the same as when you're 10, when you're 20, when you're 30, Your thinking should evolve as you get older.
I agree. That's kind of boring, though. I know, David, but yeah, she's giving a political answer there.
Well, what's the biggest? What do you think, David? What's your thoughts?
He's like David's like 21. 22, just graduated college.
So I would have to say that David, yes, when by the time you're 30, you're gonna think.
I remember like being 39 compared to like, it's like people think 21. Oh, I wish I was still 21. I don't wish I still had the same fucking mind.
I don't.
Because I thought I was so smart and cool, and like the things that you find now, and like the only times I feel a little bit older is like I can hang out with a variety of people, I think, because of the jobs I've had and experience I've had and being a university teacher. So I teach people that are 21, 22, and I enjoy being around them. But like there are moments where you're like, oh, okay, I guess I am old. You know what I mean? Like you hear something that someone thinks is so fucking cool, or like, and you're like, oh yeah, when I was 21, I would think that was cool too. So I think that is a difference. I think that hopefully by the time you get to 30, you get more secure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have this big thing going around about being insecure, and I think in your 20s in Western culture, I think it's part of. I think it's tough.
Yeah.
I think that you're finding yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of media out there. There's your family,
Mhm.
and there's all these choices to make. So I think naturally a lot of people are more insecure. When you get to 30, hopefully you've kind of got through some of those growing pains and figured out who you are and what you like to do, and that it's okay to be
Yeah.
different or to change your mind or not please your parents. Or
Mhm.
these aren't things that I battled,
Mhm.
like pleasing my parents, but I know other people that I've known for years, like their parents, their parents' expectations, at 21 or 22 are like big on them. So that's kind of a long answer to that question. But here's Jessica. Have you ever regretted leaving a guy after dating around and comparing them to your ex? That's a good question.
I don't have any regrets.
Ooh.
Like, do they mean, is there somebody that I had met in the past that I wish I hadn't?
Yeah, like I think that's a really cool question actually, because I have sometimes, like with an ex, like just thinking like, oh, this ex would have been good now, or but for me, I don't ruminate on it. What I
Yeah.
mean by that, like I'm not like obsessed about it. Does it flash sometimes? Like, oh, but you only have like one serious ex.
Yeah, my one serious ex.
You're just a floozy.
In my 20s, I didn't have. No, I mean, I was with him in my 20s, I guess, and then when I was in university, I didn't.
You
have
never had a
any-
boyfriend in high
I-
school or college,
Like one boyfriend for a year.
but it wasn't.
I mean, I was in high school and we dated for a year, and then we went
There's
to
no
university,
remnants.
and it didn't last. It didn't.
Okay.
Um,
A person will always show you their true colors during a breakup. Believe all of it. Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of times you've known that person before the breakup, and you're not surprised if you look at it when the smoke clears, and you're like, okay, I knew that about them. I think. No, I'm saying from her thinking of her 20s versus now. Would the no contact rule work if he decides to unblock me? What? Okay, so this is the individual that's talking about the narcissist and the guy that blocked her. Why are you even chasing someone that treated you this bad?
mm,
So the Lubu, I would need to know your whole story, but from what you told me, I would just not pursue this relationship in any angle.
mm.
Brandon Sosa, Sousa. How would you pronounce that? Sousa?
Sousa.
What nationality is that? I'm just curious.
Sousa.
Spanish?
Or Portuguese? I don't know.
My ex said she needs space. We dated 3 years now, broke up before, came back. I acted needy. She didn't text me anymore. We chilled yesterday, had intimacy, but after she said, I need space, what do I do?
Give her space.
In the simplest way, Jessica goes, give her space. It's like, listen. It's right. It's like, that's the beauty of what I do when I tell you to write out your story. Cause I'm like, listen to what you're saying about yourself and your partner.
Mhm.
And I don't think when you have to get it out of your head.
Mhm.
Like when you go to therapy, and I haven't, like, full disclosure, I haven't gone to like a regular therapist ever. When I was a little kid, my dad was in like an alcohol treatment center. They had like a kids group where it was like, oh, tell everyone about your dad's fuck ups. And you're like 9, and it's like, and there's someone in the room that like dad is like a fucking crack addict and like beat the hell out of his mom. It's like, this kid's got me beat.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really want to talk, like,
Yeah.
it's like, so I've never been in the regular therapy thing, but I would say what they're doing is just getting everything out. I do think it is best to write out your story, because like moments like this, like, what does this mean? It's like, well, like, Brandon, send in your story and I'll give you more of my take. But here's, like she said, if she say give you space, she's saying, I missed the intimacy. That was fun. It was good, but I definitely don't want to just get back together. And you're like, why not?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Space is gonna.
And sometimes people, maybe they know why, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. Maybe they know why, but they're like, yeah, I just like, if we could have regular sex here and there, but not get back together, if you can deal with that. What I would add too is that if she's being honest with you rather than trying to be nice, sometimes that's better. Yeah, I agree. Big mistake. She said she feels more alone now. He's talking about going to the friend. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Rob writes, for most girls, I've known that the answer will be yes. By their 30s, a lot get desired to have children. It's certainly a different dynamic. Would that be true for you? I don't think so, huh?
I don't know that I
I've
fit
never
into
heard
that.
you talk about
I don't
children.
think I fit into that box though, but I do think it is common. For
It is
women
common,
in
Rob,
their
and
30s
women
to-
that I know, like 29, 20, 30 to like 34.
Yeah.
The women I talk to from breakups and different situations and what I do, 34, 35, women start to like
Definitely.
knock the hell out of the biological clock thing.
And they might not even realize that pressure, that societal pressure, just becomes part of them, and they don't even.
Right. Friends and family. You've talked
Mhm.
about this before, that you've had friends or family that are like married or something like
Yeah.
that, and they start asking you those questions,
Yeah.
and you're like, not really. I know when I was like 31, 30, I was like, I'm not even interested remotely in getting
Yeah.
married.
I
My girlfriend at the time would be like, oh, like if we got married, and I was just kind of like, why? Like in my head. I think now at my age, if it was right, I'd be more open to the idea than I was then. But to each their own. The Rocks, New Tequila, and Patron. Okay,
Classy.
Patron's very popular in America, and Don Julio. Has she ever regretted leaving a guy after seeing what else was out there? We kind of answered that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Love my go-to pickup line. What's your go-to pickup line?
Do share.
22, but I've been told I'm very mature for my age.
That's possible.
She said it's okay.
Not all 20, 21-year-olds are immature.
That's true.
We can't all put everyone into the same box.
Like you have a grass is greener syndrome, and then you get out there and realize how nobody made you feel like your ex.
I don't know. I just think if you're already searching and you're not happy where you are, then there's something missing there.
You know what I would say to that is that this is a big one, and I had it as a topic on the live stream. We haven't even fucking touched on it, so maybe we'll talk about it another time. We're 2.5 hours into the live stream and we haven't talked about it. But hugely overrated to change your environment,
right?
To change the results of the people you're meeting, right? So, like Jessica said, when she lived in Paris or Toronto, she had, should I say, much more. There's good relationships or interactions with men, or
just more interactions.
Yeah, and like your environment, I could never move. Okay, don't then. Mm-hmm. But I would say that finding a city or town or an area in the city you live in, if it's a big city, makes a difference. I think people get caught up in this like, oh, no one's here, no one lives here. Have you lived in the same place for 20 years or 10 years or 5 years? It makes a difference.
Yeah.
There are places like when I lived in San Diego in my early 20s, it is absolutely a great place to be from 20 to 35 years old because most people are young. Most people move there. It's great weather. There's 4 big universities. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people in their 20s.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't move there. Then don't.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, when you look at like, oh, I just broke up, the grass isn't always greener. Yeah, if you live in a town of like 80,000 people, you went to high school there, you have your set group of friends. Oh, me and her, we have the same group of friends. This is what I hear all the time. We have the same group of friends. What do? Maybe meet some new fucking friends. Oh, I could never do that. Do you know what I mean, though? It is actually, it's a bold move, but it actually, if you really want to flip the fucking tables and grow up a bit, right? Yeah. Do a search on like, where would it be really cool to live in the world?
The world is your oyster.
Right? And when you move, it forces you to grow. Mm-hmm. Jessica's moved more than I have. And I think that you'd agree. Like and like, even if your first month or 2 months are rough or you don't like some things, eventually you'll find.
Yeah. And they will be tough. There will be tough times, but the great outweighs the tough. And overall it's
like, look at the show Cheers, where everybody knows your name, right? All those people are like the same person for 10, 15 years. It's like, if you want to change in your life, I would highly recommend you change where you live or the landscape of it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be far from where you live. It could be like Toronto. I'm sure San Francisco is one of those places you can live in one area and it's completely different than 10 blocks down, if that makes sense.
There are many sides to the city. There are many.
Right.
The country.
Right. So, and find an area that suits you. But if you're interested in meeting a certain type of woman or partner or what have you, right? It's like, look at I think San Francisco's highly regarded for its large gay community,
Mhm.
right? Does Toronto have a big gay community also? I think
Yeah.
I've heard before. Sydney, I believe.
Canada in general.
Canada in general has a lot of gays. Okay.
Yeah, we're
Interesting.
known for our open.
But so like when I lived in San Francisco, yeah, there's an area called the Castro district that's probably like 80 or 90% gay. I could be wrong. But people move from all over.
Mhm.
Why? Because when they move there and they're gay, it's highly acceptable, and they might be from some Timbuktu town where everyone looks at them like they're nutso and they're gross and they're crazy and they're sick. And then they go to San Francisco and it's like, oh, cool, I found an acceptable environment.
I found people like me, like
right. And so I think that when you break up and you're like, oh, I couldn't meet someone new or the grass wasn't greener, it's like, well, what environments are you looking into? Like, you're meeting the same types of people. This is a big holdback for a lot of people. I think when you're coming out of a breakup, I think you should really entertain the idea of changing where you live or your environment.
Yeah.
And if you do get that idea, like, oh, the grass is greener syndrome, and then you get out there and realize nobody made you feel like your ex, you haven't looked long enough. You haven't given him, like, how long have you looked? Like, your ex, until you do meet someone else, is always going to be the measurement.
Yeah.
Right?
I just think people need to have patience. And
right. It's not Hollywood.
Yeah. It's like you're not going to find the next love of your life like in a matter of months.
I agree. Excuse me. True, but wouldn't you agree that women's SMB depreciates as they age, which would change the thinking and needs?
What's SMB?
Market value. So this is something she doesn't know about, but like this is in like The Rational Male, which is a men's book about this. I shouldn't say about this. That's so broad. Basically, what you're saying is that women's market value for men is probably peaked in their early 20s based on looks, because men are more interested in looks overall. Find that shallow, if you will, but it's true, right? And so women tend to decline looks-wise faster than men. And men tend to, in their 40s and 50s, still have the ability to date a woman that's 25, where a woman that's like 40 has less opportunity to probably date a man that's 25. So he's saying that your market value is steadily declining as you get to 30. And so that's why women want to settle down. That's why a woman like 38, 39, 40 is really upset if she hasn't gotten married yet. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you?
I understand what you're saying.
And women stop having children in their early 40s to late 40s, right? So
I think it just has a lot to do with power structures and like look at Sex in the City. Okay?
Right.
So it's like you have these the power roles are changing, and we've had this, male dominant kind of world. And yeah, it's normal for a man in their 40s, their careers growing, their careers peaking or whatever, their 30s, And so they're looking at younger women. Oh, well, it's easier to pick up a younger woman when you're kind of, this high profile guy who's picking up younger girls. But I wouldn't say that. I don't know that I agree with this woman depreciating as she gets older because she can't have kids. Or I wouldn't say her looks are falling. I mean, I just don't think that speaks true to where we're at right now. I think that's an old idea, an old thought, way of thinking, and I don't think.
I would say that I mean, you see women now in their 40s. New York would be a hub for this. Toronto would be a hub for this. Cities I mean, today there are women that are higher power positions than men. There are women that are, they're not depreciating in their looks and growing fat and old and gray and saggy as they get 40. They're collagen.
Sure, collagen, whatever.
Rob says, is she at your house? Yes. Or Zoom? No, she's at my house. This is live in person. David Jester, yes, for the most part. their SMV. You know what this reminds me of? Has anyone seen DJ Vlad? And DJ
No.
Vlad, he does the opposite. He interviews like rappers and different things like that, but he never shows himself on the camera.
Oh,
So this is the opposite. I'm the interview on the other side where you can't see the person I'm interviewing. So because you always are like, what's DJ Vlad look like? And then you find out he's like this white guy that's older and he's in the hip hop industry.
Yeah.
So it kind of throws you because you're assuming that he's this different character. So it's kind of interesting. Video topic idea with a female guest: how males deal with breakups versus how girls deal with them as far as their efforts to move on. Yeah, we could do that next time. I'm not trying to get tied down, but if they're trying to tie it up, I'm okay, I guess is what you say. Works every time. I'm not trying to get tied down, but if you're trying to get tied up, I don't know. I don't know if that's a line. The tequila is talking now. Works every time. Jessica Dark Knight says, check out Cyprus. I think you may enjoy it a lot. This is where he's...
The place?
Yeah, Cyprus. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Depending on... She's checking her phone right now. But depending on the girl, I switch up the line. Well, I hope so. It's fairly big. It's fairly big here. Not overly big, though. What's fairly big, Rob? Church Street. That's good knowledge. You lived in San Francisco. Yeah, Church Street is where the Castro stop is, I believe. Here's no one cares if anyone is gay for the most part. Okay, Rob.
For the most part.
You're talking about Church Street. How would you date hook up when you're not in college anymore and don't have a dorm? How would you date or hook up when you're not in college anymore and don't have a dorm and are staying with your family so you can't bring girls back home?
Well, you got to get crafty and creative.
Would you like being 31? This is an interesting question because a lot of people live with their parents, right? She just took a deep breath. So she's just saying like, I wouldn't date a guy that's living with his parents. Is that what you're saying? Is that a red flag? Actually, there's a lot of people in their late 20s and early 30s that live at home.
I mean, I wouldn't. My initial thought is to go to no, but I would want to be understanding and listen to their circumstance and situation and see what it is first. But mostly, I would lead towards
hotel.
I would just, you're 30, get your own place.
Yeah, get a fucking studio in the ghetto or something. But don't fucking live with your parents and introduce me on the second time when we're gonna go have sex in the room and say hello to dad. On the way. Like I've had clients that are like mid-20s to late 20s and they're like, yeah, she lives at home, I live at home, we're saving money, this, that, and the other. I'm like, all right, that's cool. The one that stood out to me, this guy lived in New Jersey. He was really cool. I believe he was a teacher. He had like a job. He was out of school. Really good guy. I could tell he was really close to his family. And then his girlfriend lived like 10 minutes away. He was close to her family. They both lived at each other's parent. And he was like, yeah, we were talking about moving out and this and that. I'm like, yeah, that was probably the next step, dude. Like, he's like, but we love each other's parents. I'm like, yeah, but like going to her house. And he's like, yeah, when I would sleep at her house, she would be like, yeah, we couldn't hook up as much because dad, I'm like, yeah, it's not cool, dude. Like
is your home great that you can't?
Yeah. So then he was like, dude, and she's like, dude, I got 50 grand saved up. I'm like, you can't fucking get a house. Because he was talking about not buy a house, but like get an apartment. He was talking about like, oh, we went to Philadelphia for the weekend to watch the Eagles play or something like that. I'm like, damn, this dude's dropping some money on other things. So, I mean, people, they don't get their priorities right. But you having your own place, whether it's a studio apartment or not, I think in your mid to late 20s, I've talked to a few different guys. And like I said, I'm understanding because I come from an expensive area. I'm from San Francisco Bay Area and it's expensive.
Yeah, it's true.
It's fucking, like if you might have to live at home for a while. And if I move back to California, I'd stay at my parents' place for a bit, like probably to get my feet. Like it's just so expensive. And you got to put first and last month's rent. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, you need.
It's living in where I live. Like you don't have to do all that shit. The rent's cheap. It's different. So. But I would definitely say roommates is the alternative.
Roommates.
Like have some roommates, but that's dangerous too. As you get older, it's harder to live with different people. Laugh out loud. I'm 22. I'm moving out soon and trying to start a business. That's my top priority. Where are you at in the world, Jay Smitty, if I may ask? All right. Any closing questions? I'm going to wrap this thing up. We did 2 hours, 48 minutes, 3 hours almost. Jessica, I think, was a good addition. I think we'll do this again. I thought about this for a long time. We were talking about setting up the cameras and setting up the set, but I think this format was good. I think it was pretty clear. It was good conversation. You guys got some things out of a 31-year-old female artist, right? Some questions you were dying to ask.
Yeah.
So you don't just get a male's perspective.
We got to balance it out.
You do. Any closing questions? And anyone that want to make a comment they enjoyed this stop? Michigan in the suburbs next to a few colleges. Well, there's a lot of colleges in Michigan. All right. Cool, man. Cool. Plate theory. Enjoyed the stream. Thanks, Rob. We'll talk about plate theory with Jessica next time because that'll be an interesting thing to talk to her about. And I have some things to talk about that. Enjoyed it. Thank you, Mac and Jessica. No problem. You're even getting included here.
Wow. It was nice talking with you guys.
Yeah, this is excellent. Thanks for the likes. We got 5 likes. I thought there would be a few more, but that's okay. I'm not going to cry over it.
Wow.
Not going to be needy. Yeah, me too, man. You're going to blow up. Thanks. I appreciate it. Good stream tonight. Thank you, Mac and Jessica. All good, David. Thanks for saying I'm going to blow up. I appreciate it. If you guys want to join Coach Mac McCarthy Instagram, if that's your thing, I'll be posting some photos of the beach in Thailand and quotes and different things like that. A schedule should be on deck, and maybe next time me and Jessica do one of these one-on-one interview type sessions here. Yeah, so I'm going to keep her on Snapchat. Go ahead. Is it, one of my things about doing coaching that people might not know is that when I unpack or talk to someone about what they're going through, and I think Jessica, knowing her for a long time, even when I talk to her, I'll give you advice, but I won't tell you should or have to do that.
Yeah.
That's maturity, actually. So, if you want to keep doing the fucking Snapchat, I don't recommend it based on what you told me, but go for it. See what happens. I mean, you got to stick with.
Live and learn. Yeah,
well, you got to stick with, if you really want to do something, and you think that the advice or the idea of someone else, then do it. I am like number 6 of what? Just hook up with other girls and never hit her up again because that would probably make me look like I'm needy. Yep. Indifference makes a difference. All right. My taco delivery's on the way.
What? Are you serious?
Yep. Got tacos on the way.
Oh my God.
My favorite food. Even get tacos in Phuket. That's the thing about living up over. People are like, oh, you must love Thai food. And actually, I like tacos. No, I mean, I love my burritos and tacos. I mean, I'm that's our food in California. No, I'm gonna interact with her, message her, but I'm fine letting her see what I'm doing. All good, bud. That's your decision to make. All right, folks, it's been a pleasure. It's been good. It's been wonderful and fantastic. I appreciate you all. Till the next time. Hopefully tomorrow will be the next time. I might have a live coaching in this time frame, but I will post it. Maybe do a coaching session soon. David, I appreciate you, bud. I'm ready for you when you want to talk. I got some things to share with you too. And before, it's going to be a good one if you do decide to do it. Yay, tacos. I'm going to go walk the streets of Toronto. Good for you. Curtains. Thank you.